This is the only photograph that remains of the mysterious colossal head of Izamal. In 1860, the French explorer and photographer Désiré Charnay captured a remarkable image that would become the only known photograph of the mysterious colossal head of Izamal, located in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. This image, preserved through time, offers a rare and invaluable glimpse into the pre-Hispanic world of the ancient Maya civilization. The sculpture itself, once a towering and majestic work of stone artistry, has since vanished, leaving behind only Charnay's photograph as evidence of its existence. The disappearance of this artifact adds a layer of intrigue to its already mysterious presence in Mesoamerican history. The colossal head of Izamal stood as a powerful symbol of the region's ancient culture. Its size and craftsmanship reflected the artistic and spiritual sensibilities of a civilization that once flourished in Yucatan. Unfortunately, sometime in the latter part of the 19th century, the sculpture was lost under unknown circumstances. Whether due to natural deterioration, human intervention, or relocation that went undocumented, its disappearance has left a void in the cultural and archaeological narrative of the area. Today, only that single black and white image remains, a silent witness to something grand that is now gone. Izamal itself is a city rich in history, deeply rooted in Maya tradition, and later influenced by Spanish colonialism. It is widely recognized for its unique yellow-painted buildings, colonial architecture, and the convergence of ancient and modern religious expression. At the heart of the city lie several ancient pyramidal structures, a testament to its importance in pre-Columbian times. One of these, known as Kinich Kak Mu, is among the largest pyramid mounds in Yucatan and continues to be a place of archaeological and cultural significance. It is likely that the colossal head was connected to the same tradition, standing as a representation of deities or rulers whose stories remain only partially understood. The loss of the colossal head has become emblematic of a broader issue faced in archaeology and heritage preservation: the fragility of ancient memory and the ease with which physical history can be erased. While Charnay's photograph has kept the image of the sculpture alive, it is the questions that remain unanswered which make its story so compelling. What did it represent? Who created it? And why did it disappear? These questions stir the imagination and encourage both researchers and the public to reflect on the layers of history that lie just beneath the surface of modern cities. Today, the photograph is more than a visual record. It is a portal to a time when monumental stone figures were carved to honor gods, rulers, and celestial forces. It is a reminder of the richness of Mesoamerican heritage and the importance of preserving what remains. The colossal head of Izamal, though lost, continues to echo through time thanks to that one captured moment. The Leaping Man of Prague. In the heart of Prague, among its cobbled streets and Gothic rooftops, a quiet yet enduring mystery has taken hold over the past 3 decades. Late at night, in the stillness above the historic city centre, some pedestrians claim to witness a figure leaping from rooftop to rooftop with impossible agility. Dressed in old military clothing that seems decades out of place, this mysterious individual has come to be known by a name whispered across cafes and courtyards: the Leaper. Reports describe the Leaper as tall and lean, clothed in a uniform from another era. Witnesses often describe him in dark, outdated garments that resemble those worn during one of the city's many past conflicts. He wears a cap, his face sometimes obscured by shadow, and he moves with a silence that defies explanation. No footsteps, no displaced tiles, just a graceful and uncanny movement across the high ledges of Prague's rooftops. What makes him even more unsettling is that no one has ever seen where he begins or ends his movements. He simply appears, leaping across narrow spans with the ease of a bird in flight, then vanishes as quickly as he came. While his presence has never been linked to danger or hostility, his appearance tends to unsettle those who see him. Some have reported a strange shift in atmosphere during an encounter, an odd stillness in the air, a heightened sense of being watched, or a moment of time that feels suspended. Most accounts come from individuals walking alone or in pairs, typically late at night when the streets are quiet and the city has fallen into a hush. Theories about his identity vary. Some believe he is a ghost from Prague's wartime past, perhaps the spirit of a soldier who met a tragic end and now roams the city in an endless patrol. Others think he could be a form of urban legend, a myth born from a single vivid sighting, repeated over time and given new life by imagination and storytelling. Then there are those who suggest something stranger, that the leaper may not be of this world at all, but a glimpse of something crossing between dimensions, visible only in fleeting moments when the veil is thin. Despite the many sightings, no one has ever captured clear evidence of the leaper. Photographs come out blurred, and when people try to follow him, he always disappears before they can reach the rooftop or find a trace. City authorities do not officially recognize the phenomenon, but those who live and work in the area are often aware of the legend. It has become a kind of modern folklore, a quiet tale passed between night shift workers, taxi drivers, and students walking home late. In a city as old as Prague, where history and myth have long shared space, the leaper has become part of the urban soul. Whether ghost, guardian, or something else entirely, he remains a mystery above the rooftops, ever distant, ever silent, and still watching from the shadows of a city that remembers everything. The mystery phone call. In the quiet early hours of the morning in Oslo, Norway, a man was awakened by the sound of his phone ringing. The time on the screen read 3:33 in the morning, and the number calling him was immediately familiar. It belonged to his mother. The only problem was, she had passed away several years earlier. At first, he thought it might be a mistake or a prank, but curiosity and unease compelled him to answer. What he heard on the other end would change the course of his life and spark a mystery that remains unexplained. The voice that greeted him was unmistakably his mother's, yet it was distorted, fragmented into broken phrases that made little sense. Some words were clear, while others came through as jumbled echoes. Though it seemed like a poor connection, the emotional weight of the voice was undeniable. She sounded urgent, almost desperate, as though struggling to communicate something important. The only full sentence that came through clearly was, "Don't go tomorrow." After that, the call dropped into silence. The man sat stunned, unsure of what to think. Rationally, he considered that it could have been a cruel prank or a strange coincidence, but the voice had sounded exactly like her. Not just the tone, but the cadence, the emotion, the way she used certain words. It wasn't simply similar, it was personal. Deeply shaken and unable to shake the feeling that something was wrong, he made a decision. He cancelled his business trip scheduled for that morning, which would have had him boarding a train heading out of the city. The next day, news reports emerged that the train he was meant to be on had derailed in a serious accident. Several passengers were injured, and the scene was chaotic. As he watched the coverage, a chill ran through him. The phone call, no matter how impossible it seemed, had warned him. When he checked the call log on his phone, it showed the call had taken place, but the number was listed as unavailable, not his mother's contact information. Even stranger, when he contacted his service provider to request records, there was no record of the incoming call at that time. As far as official systems were concerned, the call had never happened. Yet he had answered it. He had heard her voice, and the warning had possibly saved his life. To this day, he keeps the moment close but rarely speaks about it. It's not something easy to explain, nor is it something that fits neatly into a category. Whether it was a message from beyond, a glitch in technology that defies logic, or a dream so vivid it altered real-world actions, the result is the same: a mystery that challenges the line between the known and the unknown. In a world filled with logic and structure, events like this remind people that not everything can be neatly explained. Sometimes a voice from the past finds its way back, not to haunt, but perhaps to help, offering a final gesture of love in the most unexpected way. The piano that plays itself. In the quiet shadows of Bucharest, Romania, an abandoned theatre stands frozen in time, its grand stage long untouched by applause or performance. Dust coats the velvet seats and crumbling walls, yet at the centre of this forgotten space rests a solitary grand piano. Though weathered and out of tune by all physical standards, the piano has become the centre of a chilling mystery that has persisted for decades. It is said to play itself, filling the empty auditorium with soft, melancholic melodies long after the curtain should have closed for good. Security guards and maintenance workers who patrol the theatre at night have reported hearing the piano's notes drifting through the hallways. The music is described as sorrowful, gentle, and hauntingly beautiful, like a memory echoing through the walls. These impromptu performances always occur in the dead of night, never in the presence of a crowd, and always vanish as soon as someone enters the room. Each time the piano is inspected, it is found untouched. There are no signs of movement, no open lids or pressed keys. The strings remain slack and poorly tuned, incapable of producing such rich tones under normal circumstances. Numerous attempts have been made to record these late-night recitals, but each effort ends in failure. Cameras and microphones left overnight capture nothing but silence or warped static, as if the music exists only in the moment it's heard. Investigators and skeptics alike have tried to explain it through natural acoustics or environmental effects, yet the phenomenon continues without a clear cause. Those who've heard it describe the experience as both eerie and strangely emotional, as though the music carries not just sound, but feeling. The story surrounding the piano only deepens the mystery. Historians believe the instrument once belonged to a young pianist who was regarded as a child prodigy before the chaos of war disrupted her life. She had been preparing for a major performance in that very theatre when conflict engulfed the city. According to some accounts, she vanished during rehearsals, never to be seen again. Her disappearance left no trace, no records, no explanation, only silence where promise had once lived. Locals have long whispered that the spirit of the girl never left, and that her music continues to live on through the piano she loved. Some believe she returns to the theatre at night to finish the performance that war stole from her. Others say the piano itself has become a vessel for the emotions she left behind, playing when the air is still enough to listen. Though the theatre remains closed to the public, stories of the self-playing piano endure, passed down through quiet conversations and local folklore. It has become more than just a legend. It is a reminder of a moment lost in time, of a melody left unfinished. Mysterious structures seen on the moon in old NASA photos. For decades, photographs taken during the Apollo missions have been studied, admired, and dissected by experts and the public alike. These images, captured by astronauts on humanity's earliest voyages to the moon, have become both historical treasures and scientific references. However, not all observers view them as purely mundane documentation. In recent years, a number of photographs have surfaced showing what appear to be geometric, artificial-looking structures on the lunar surface, images that many believe cannot be naturally occurring. These shapes and formations have raised persistent questions about what might really exist on the moon, and whether the public has been shown the full truth. One of the most debated aspects of these mysterious lunar images is the appearance of right angles, symmetrical layouts, and uniform patterns that resemble construction rather than geology. Some of the structures seen in these photos feature what look like corridors, domes, or interconnected segments that give the impression of deliberate design. The moon, while full of craters, ridges, and erosion features caused by micrometeoroid impacts, rarely displays the kind of clean, linear geometry that can be seen in these specific photographs. What intensifies the mystery is that many of these questionable photos trace back to old NASA archives, particularly those from the Apollo 11, 15, and 17 missions. While the official stance from the space agency has always been that the moon is barren and lifeless, a number of former NASA employees and contractors have made startling claims that challenge this view. Some of them have come forward over the years to assert that their roles during the space race included carefully editing or airbrushing certain anomalies out of lunar images before they were released to the public. One such individual, a former NASA worker whose identity has been referenced in interviews and documentaries, claimed she was part of a team instructed to edit out specific anomalies from satellite and mission photography. According to her, these anomalies weren't just random glitches. They were features on the moon that had an undeniable geometric and structured appearance. The implication was clear. Something was on the moon, and efforts were made to prevent the public from seeing it. Another striking detail comes from image analysts who have compared these images before and after official releases. In some cases, structures visible in one version of a photograph mysteriously disappear in the final, publicly distributed image. This has fueled speculation that selective image modification or censorship was taking place behind the scenes, all in an effort to maintain the narrative of a lifeless moon. Skeptics argue that these so-called structures are simply tricks of light and shadow, the result of pixel distortion or misinterpretations of natural lunar formations. However, those who have scrutinized the images in greater detail claim that the repetition of certain patterns, such as clusters of rectangular blocks or long parallel lines, suggests intentional construction. The Moon's harsh, unforgiving environment makes it an unlikely candidate for such symmetrical forms to arise purely through geological processes. Even more intriguing is the idea that these structures are ancient, perhaps abandoned remnants of some unknown presence. Whether created by a past advanced human civilization or something entirely non-human, the speculation adds another layer of mystery to the Moon's already mysterious landscape. Some have theorized that the Moon could have served as an outpost or observation base, its proximity to Earth making it an ideal location for discrete monitoring or experimentation. While mainstream science does not currently endorse the idea of artificial lunar structures, the growing number of unexplained anomalies and insider testimonies keeps the conversation alive. In an age where previously classified files are being declassified and once dismissed phenomena are being re-examined with more open minds, the idea that the Moon may hold hidden secrets is no longer seen as purely fringe. Ultimately, the mysterious photographs of the Moon, especially those containing geometric shapes and symmetrical layouts, continue to stir both curiosity and concern. Whether these features are the result of misunderstood geology or proof of something far more complex remains to be seen, but the fact that former employees have admitted to editing or suppressing images only deepens the mystery and reinforces the notion that not all lunar truths have been shared. As humanity prepares for future missions to the Moon under new space programs, perhaps these unanswered questions will finally be addressed. Until then, the black and white images from the Apollo era continue to hold their silent secrets, etched into lunar dust, waiting for rediscovery. Mysterious scratches have appeared on people who have explored Greyfriars Kirkyard. In the heart of Edinburgh's Old Town lies one of the most atmospheric and mysterious cemeteries in the world, Greyfriars Kirkyard. Established in 1562, this historic burial ground holds the remains of many notable figures from Scotland's past and is shrouded in legends, eerie tales, and unexplained phenomena. It is a place where history and the supernatural seem to intertwine, most famously through the chilling accounts of the Mackenzie poltergeist. Greyfriars is well known for its literary connections. Visitors to the site often find names on tombstones that appear strikingly familiar, especially to fans of the Harry Potter series. It is believed that author J.K. Rowling, who lived in Edinburgh while writing the books, drew inspiration from the gravestones in the kirkyard. Names such as McGonagall, Riddle, and Moody have been found etched in stone, sparking fascination among visitors. One of the most endearing stories linked to the cemetery, however, is that of Greyfriars Bobby, a small Skye Terrier who famously spent 14 years guarding the grave of his late owner, John Grey. Though Bobby was not allowed to be buried within the consecrated grounds of the kirkyard, his loyalty earned him a statue just outside its gates, now a beloved city landmark. Yet beyond the tales of literary muses and loyal dogs, a darker narrative permeates Greyfriars Kirkyard, centering on the infamous Covenanters' prison and the legend of the Mackenzie poltergeist. During the 17th century, Scotland experienced a brutal religious conflict. Thousands of Covenanters, Presbyterians who opposed the state-imposed religious reforms, were persecuted and imprisoned. Many of them were held in appalling conditions within a section of the kirkyard now known as the Covenanters' prison. These prisoners, often without adequate food or shelter, suffered immensely. Among the chief figures responsible for their persecution was George Mackenzie, the King's Advocate, who earned various nicknames due to his relentless pursuit and harsh punishments of the Covenanters. After Mackenzie's passing in 1691, his body was ironically buried in Greyfriars, mere steps away from the resting place of those he had so ruthlessly condemned. For centuries, his tomb remained untouched, until 1999, when a homeless man broke into the mausoleum seeking shelter. In doing so, he disturbed the coffin and is said to have fallen into a hidden chamber filled with unidentified remains. Witnesses later claimed that the man fled in terror, reportedly overwhelmed by what he had seen or felt. Soon after this event, strange and frightening incidents began to surface. Visitors and staff at the cemetery reported intense drops in temperature, sudden nausea, breathing sounds in the silence, and the sensation of being watched or followed. A sickly odor was often noticed near Mackenzie's tomb, and physical attacks, including bruises, scratches, and even fainting spells, began to be reported during tours. These alarming experiences led to the quiet closure of the Covenanters' prison by the city authorities. Many locals and paranormal enthusiasts believed the true cause was far more sinister: the awakening of the Mackenzie poltergeist. A tour company eventually struck an agreement with the local council to resume access through guided ghost tours. Since then, countless visitors have encountered unexplained injuries, icy cold spots, and disturbing visions, all attributed to the restless spirit of George Mackenzie. In late 1999, a spiritualist minister named Colin Grant was invited to conduct an exorcism in an attempt to calm the paranormal disturbances. During the ritual, a photograph captured what appeared to be a dark figure standing behind him. Weeks later, Grant passed away unexpectedly, an event that only deepened the fear surrounding the area. The exorcism was deemed unsuccessful, and the phenomena have persisted ever since. Today, Greyfriars Kirkyard continues to draw both tourists and paranormal investigators from around the world. Some come to admire its historic significance and literary ties, while others hope to experience the mysterious energy that surrounds the Mackenzie tomb. Whether viewed through the lens of folklore, history, or spiritual belief, the story of the Mackenzie poltergeist remains one of the most chilling and enduring tales in Scotland's haunted heritage. As the centuries pass, the chilling legacy of Bloody Mackenzie refuses to fade. His presence seems to linger in the cold winds of the kirkyard, a shadow etched into the stones of a city where the past and the paranormal walk side by side. The disappearing man in Jordan. In the vast and quiet stretches of the Jordanian desert near the ancient city of Petra, a mysterious figure has been reported time and time again by travelers and nomads alike. Known informally as the disappearing man, this solitary figure is often described as a man dressed in modern clothing, jeans, a simple shirt, and sometimes a jacket, though his features remain indistinct. His appearance feels deeply out of place against the timeless, wind-swept backdrop of red rock and sand. What unnerves many is not just his sudden presence in such a remote area, but the way he disappears without a trace. Witnesses who have come across him report seeing him from a distance, often standing motionless and staring outward across the horizon. At first glance, many assume he is a fellow traveller or perhaps a lost tourist. Yet as they draw closer, the man either vanishes instantly, as if erased from the landscape, or seems to dissolve gradually into the air, like a mirage pulling itself apart. These encounters leave behind a strong emotional imprint, a lingering sense of melancholy, confusion, and an eerie calm. Local Bedouins, who have lived in the region for generations and know the desert intimately, have long told stories about this strange figure. To them, he is not merely an illusion or a ghost, but something between the physical and spiritual, a lost soul still walking a path unfinished. According to their oral traditions, the man is believed to have once been a traveller who entered the desert carrying grief in his heart, perhaps in search of something or someone, but never returned. Now, he appears to others who carry that same heavy feeling of being lost, not physically, but emotionally. Those who have encountered the disappearing man often report that they were going through a personal struggle at the time. Feelings of sorrow, disconnection, or being at a crossroads seem to precede sightings. Some believe the man's appearance is not just a haunting, but a reflection of the witness's own inner state. Whether he is real or not becomes less important to those who see him. What remains is the impact of the moment, the strange calm that follows, and sometimes an unexpected shift in perspective. Despite modern technology and countless attempts to document the phenomenon, there is no clear evidence of the disappearing man, no photographs, no videos, only stories, repeated across years, told in different languages, but always the same in essence. He appears only in person, never when a camera is ready. Some believe this suggests that the figure is more than a person or spirit. He is a symbol, or perhaps a desert echo responding to emotion rather than sight. In a land steeped in ancient mystery and silent beauty, the legend of the disappearing man continues to grow. Whether he is a wandering spirit, a desert mirage brought on by heat and memory, or something more mystical, his presence has become part of the Jordanian landscape, The desert holds many secrets, and he may be one of its most quietly profound. The mystery of Mekayla Bali. In April 2016, the small Canadian town of Yorkton, Saskatchewan, became the center of a heartbreaking and baffling mystery when 16-year-old Mekayla Bali disappeared without a trace. Her case continues to haunt her family, the Canadian public, and thousands of people online who have followed every lead and detail in hopes of finding answers. Despite tireless efforts by investigators and extensive involvement from online communities such as Reddit and web sleuths, Mekayla's whereabouts remain unknown, and the questions surrounding her disappearance have only deepened over time. Mekayla was, by all accounts, a bright and thoughtful teenager. She was close to her family, excelled in school, and had aspirations that reached far beyond her small hometown. She dreamed of traveling, possibly to the United States, and building a future outside of Yorkton. Although shy, she was socially active online, frequently using apps like Kik, Snapchat, and Instagram to stay connected with friends and explore relationships. Like many teenagers, she battled insecurities, particularly regarding her appearance, and she was taking medication for acne at the time of her disappearance, medication that she left behind on the day she vanished. That detail alone made investigators believe she intended to return home. April 12, 2016, began like any other day but quickly unraveled into a timeline filled with erratic and unexplained behavior. At 6:41 in the morning, Mekayla texted her friend Oksana asking for a ride to the bank, saying she needed to withdraw $5,000. When Oksana declined and later told police she knew Mekayla did not have that kind of money, the first sign of something unusual began to emerge. At 8:20 in the morning, Mekayla arrived at Sacred Heart High School, went to her locker, and exited the building 6 minutes later through a rear door. From there, Mekayla's movements were tracked through security cameras across the city. She walked to the bank and was seen speaking on her phone, one of several occasions that day where she appeared to be in contact with someone via an unidentified app. She withdrew just $55 from her account. Afterwards, she visited a pawn shop attempting to sell a ring, which was declined. At Tim Hortons, she ordered a drink and sat alone with her backpack, which was unusual for her. She appeared to be calling someone repeatedly, dismantling and reassembling her phone, yet phone records later showed no standard calls. These were believed to be made through encrypted or untraceable apps. Throughout the morning, Mekayla approached strangers, asking if they could help her rent a hotel room or give her a ride to Regina. She even returned to her school briefly, before eventually arriving at the bus depot, where she was last seen around lunchtime at the Trail Stop restaurant. Then, she vanished. Her phone was turned off, and her digital footprint disappeared. Mekayla was reported missing by her mother and grandmother that evening. Investigators quickly launched a search, but no solid leads emerged. A second Instagram account was discovered under Mekayla's name, with no activity except for a bio that read, "Goodbye." This, coupled with previous Snapchat posts expressing loneliness and a longing for connection, began to raise concerns about Mekayla's state of mind. A man named Christopher, who lived in the United States, came forward and told authorities that he had spoken with Mekayla online. He revealed that she had talked about scars. Although police searched his home, he had a strong alibi, and there was no evidence he had traveled to Canada around the time of her disappearance. As more people began to investigate, other disturbing details emerged. Two of Mekayla's classmates claimed she had shown them oxycodone at school, though police found no evidence that this played a major factor in her disappearance. There were also reported sightings of Mekayla in cities such as Vancouver, Edmonton, and Penticton, but none could be confirmed. A man seen near her at the bus depot was labelled a person of interest, but was never charged after explaining he was only holding the door open. Detective Kim Stewart, one of the officers who originally worked the case, has said that even years later, she continues to think about Mekayla and remains hopeful. The absence of closure weighs heavily on Mekayla's mother, Paula, and the rest of the Bali family. Every year that passes feels like an unanswered question. Without clear evidence of where she went, why she left, or what may have happened after that final confirmed sighting, the case remains one of Canada's most confounding missing person investigations. Speculation about Mekayla's fate ranges from theories that she ran away to start a new life, to far darker possibilities involving predators who may have found her online. Her behavior on the day of her disappearance seemed to show a mix of determination and hesitation. She appeared to be seeking something or someone, but left behind her essential belongings, including her acne medication and makeup, which she rarely went without. This contradiction only adds to the confusion. Mekayla Bali's case is a painful reminder of how someone can disappear in plain sight. With every unanswered question, her family continues to search, driven by love and hope. For them, and for the countless strangers who have become emotionally invested in her story, there remains a collective desire for answers, some explanation that might finally bring peace to those left behind. Until that day comes, the disappearance of Mekayla Bali remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of modern Canada. The strange disappearance of Scott Hilbert. Scott Allen Hilbert was just 18 years old when he disappeared in the spring of 1988. A freshman at Morehead State University in Kentucky, Scott was described as a dedicated student and talented percussionist. His quiet life centered around music, family, and school, which is why his sudden disappearance stunned everyone who knew him. What began as a short trip to visit a friend became a haunting and unsolved mystery that spanned thousands of miles and left his loved ones with far more questions than answers. Scott had returned home to Milford, Ohio, a suburb of Cincinnati, for spring break. On March 13, 1988, he left a note for his parents on the refrigerator. In it, he explained that he planned to drive to Columbus to visit a friend at Ohio State University. The note didn't say when he'd return, but he had taken the family's black 1984 Ford Tempo and packed a suitcase. There was no indication that anything was wrong or that this trip was anything other than a brief visit. His parents assumed he'd be back before classes resumed on March 21st. Days passed, but there was no word from Scott. When the 21st arrived and he still hadn't come home or appeared back at his university, his parents grew worried. They contacted his friends at Ohio State, who confirmed that Scott had never arrived in Columbus. They had not seen him or heard from him. Realizing something was seriously wrong, his parents reported him missing. For over 2 weeks, there was no sign of him. Then, on April 1st, a major development in the case occurred. The Ford Tempo that Scott had been driving was found abandoned in the Beaver Dam Mountains wilderness area in Arizona, near the Utah border. The discovery of the vehicle raised even more disturbing questions than it answered. Arizona was nearly 1,700 miles from Milford, and there was no indication that Scott had ever planned or mentioned traveling out west. The vehicle itself presented several puzzling details. Both the front and rear license plates had been removed and were never recovered. The car appeared to have been pushed off a small cliff, only to get caught on a tree, preventing it from going further. Nearby, investigators found some of Scott's belongings, including a lug wrench, his dorm room key, shampoo, and a kitchen knife from the family home. However, his suitcase was missing. The presence of the knife, something he wouldn't typically carry on a trip, added another layer of strangeness to the case. Inside the vehicle, things became even more confusing. Investigators discovered a California phone book and a matchbook from a restaurant in Denver, items no one could link to Scott. There was no explanation as to how they ended up in the car, and it was assumed they belonged to someone else. Fingerprint analysis showed Scott's prints on the passenger side, not the driver's side. Unidentified fingerprints were found elsewhere in the vehicle, but to this day, they have never been matched to anyone known. Adding to the mystery, there were no signs of struggle or injury. No blood was found, and there was no damage inside the car that pointed to a confrontation. What made the case even more baffling was the mileage recorded on the car's odometer. Since Scott left Ohio, the car had been driven more than 3,800 miles, far more than the distance between Ohio and Arizona. Over 2,000 miles remained completely unaccounted for, raising questions about where the car had been and who might have been driving it. Scott's social security number showed no further activity after his disappearance. No bank transactions, employment records, or attempts to contact family ever surfaced. It was as if he had vanished entirely. The FBI eventually became involved due to the interstate nature of the case, but despite their efforts, no new leads emerged. One particularly eerie aspect of the investigation came from a revelation made by Scott's father, Lawrence. He mentioned that an abandoned blue van had been discovered in the same area of the Arizona wilderness 4 years prior, and its owner had also disappeared. While no name or details about that case were shared, the parallel suggested a potentially dangerous pattern or even a remote location where people went missing without a trace. The local investigator, Karen Rabori, worked on the case and spoke years later about how it continued to weigh heavily on her. The search had taken her down many paths, yet none ever led to a solid suspect or theory that could explain what happened to Scott. The complete lack of communication, evidence, and motive made it difficult to determine whether he had met someone on the road, accepted a ride from a stranger, or been drawn into a situation he could not escape. Despite the long passage of time, Scott's disappearance has received surprisingly little media coverage. His story is often overshadowed by other high-profile missing persons cases, and yet the details of his disappearance are as perplexing as any. In some discussions, his case is compared to that of Greg Tilley, a 22-year-old who also vanished during a road trip in 1992. Tilley's car was found abandoned in a Nevada desert under similar mysterious circumstances. Although there is no known connection between the two cases, the similarities are difficult to ignore. More than 3 decades have passed since that spring day when Scott Hilbert left home with nothing but a suitcase, a plan to see a friend, and a future full of possibilities. His parents never stopped searching, hoping that someday the truth would surface. What happened between March 13th and April 1st remains one of Ohio's most confounding and underreported disappearance cases. The clues left behind, a deserted vehicle, missing plates, unfamiliar objects, and unclaimed fingerprints, paint a picture of something strange and unresolved. Whether Scott met with foul play, chose to vanish, or became entangled in circumstances beyond his control, one thing is clear: his case deserves more attention. Somewhere, someone knows something. Until the truth is uncovered, the disappearance of Scott Allen Hilbert will remain a haunting mystery, frozen in time along a quiet desert stretch where the questions still outnumber the answers. Stacy Aris vanishes in Yosemite National Park. On July 17, 1981, 14-year-old Stacy Ann Aris vanished without a trace while exploring a trail in Yosemite National Park. What began as a peaceful horseback riding adventure turned into one of the most perplexing disappearances in the park's history. Despite an exhaustive search effort that spanned days and involved hundreds of people, no conclusive evidence ever emerged. Over 4 decades later, Stacy's case continues to baffle investigators and haunt those who have looked into her mysterious disappearance. Stacy Aris was born on September 29, 1966, in Saratoga, California. Known for her active, adventurous spirit, she had a deep love for photography and nature. She was also described as kind, sociable, and full of enthusiasm for life. When she joined her father George and a small group for a multi-day saddle trip through Yosemite National Park in July 1981, it was meant to be a fun and memorable family outing. Along with George, Stacy rode with 6 others through scenic trails, stopping at various points, including a break for lunch at Upper Cathedral Lake. That afternoon, the group arrived at Sunrise High Sierra Camp around 3 in the afternoon. The camp, located at an elevation of 9,600 feet, was meant to be their resting point for the night. After hours on horseback, the others were content to relax, but Stacy wanted to keep exploring. She had brought along her Olympus camera and was eager to capture the beauty of the landscape. She asked her father to join her for a short walk to Sunrise Lakes, approximately 1.5 miles away. He declined, but another member of the group, 77-year-old Gerald Stewart, volunteered to accompany her. They set off together along the nearby trail. After a short distance, Gerald, fatigued by the hike, decided to stop and rest, telling Stacy to continue on and return shortly. She agreed and continued walking. Stacy was last seen standing on a boulder just beyond the tree line, gazing off into the distance. Then, she vanished. When Gerald noticed that 20 to 30 minutes had passed without her return, he made his way back to camp and alerted the group. They immediately began searching, retracing the trail and asking other hikers if they had seen her. A nearby group coming from the direction Stacy was believed to have taken reported no sightings. When their efforts yielded nothing, George Aris informed park rangers that his daughter was missing. The National Park Service launched one of the most extensive search efforts in Yosemite's history. Around 150 individuals participated, including 67 members from the Mountain Rescue Association, trained search dogs, divers, and helicopters. For 9 days, and across an area of 5 square miles, they searched for any clue that might indicate what had happened. Yet only one item was found: the lens cap from Stacy's camera, located near the trail at the edge of the tree line. There was no sign of Stacy herself, no trail of clothing or disturbed ground, and no indication of struggle or injury. This lack of physical evidence puzzled searchers. Yosemite is home to wildlife, including mountain lions and black bears, but there was nothing to suggest an animal attack. No blood, tufts of hair, or damage to her belongings were found. Early in the investigation, park officials made a vague reference to Stacy potentially experiencing school or family problems and missing her boyfriend, raising the possibility that she had voluntarily walked away. However, that theory was quickly dismissed. She had taken very little with her and was reportedly wearing flip-flops or hiking boots. Accounts vary on this detail, which made a long-distance trek unlikely. Some sources claim her father had advised her to wear more appropriate footwear, which she did, while others insist she left in casual sandals. Regardless of her shoes, the idea that she wandered far from camp on a whim seemed improbable to her family. The theory that Stacy may have gotten lost remains one of the more plausible possibilities. If she had strayed off the trail, especially in such rugged terrain, she may have quickly become disoriented. Nightfall brought colder temperatures, dropping as low as 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and without proper gear, it's possible she could have succumbed to exposure. But this theory also leaves lingering questions. Why did the search teams, including trained dogs, never pick up a stronger trail, and why was there so little trace of her, not even items dropped or disturbed vegetation? Other theories have also been considered, particularly after hikers reported seeing a rough-looking man in the area where Stacy vanished. Despite efforts to track him down, this individual was never identified or located. If this man had encountered Stacy and played any role in her disappearance, there has never been enough evidence to pursue that angle further. Over the years, many have questioned how a young girl could simply disappear in broad daylight, only a short distance from others, without anyone seeing or hearing a thing. The questions deepened when writer Brent Swancer and other researchers claimed that Freedom of Information Act requests related to Stacy's case were denied or heavily redacted. Out of what is believed to be over 2,000 pages related to the investigation, only a small portion, less than 1%, has reportedly been made available to the public. Such secrecy has fueled speculation and contributed to theories involving unexplained or unusual circumstances. While some of these theories veer into the speculative, they underscore the sense of confusion and unease that still surrounds the case. Tragically, both of Stacy's parents, George and Carol, have since passed away without learning what happened to their daughter. Her siblings, now grown, continue to wonder and hope that one day there will be an answer. Though time has passed, the case has not been forgotten by the hiking community or those who have investigated missing person cases in national parks. The disappearance of Stacy Aris is more than just a mystery. It is a reminder of how quickly someone can vanish in the wilderness, even under seemingly safe and calm conditions. With no body, no evidence of harm, and no definitive clue pointing to her fate, Stacy's story remains one of the most haunting unsolved disappearances in Yosemite's history. The mysterious disappearance of John and Shelley Markley. The disappearance of John and Shelley Markley remains one of the most perplexing unsolved cases in Ohio's history. The couple, who lived in rural Bristolville with their 5 children, vanished without a trace on December 15, 1995. More than 2 decades later, the case continues to haunt not only their family, but also investigators and countless others who have followed their story. John J. Markley Jr., born in 1959, and Shelley Applequist, born in 1963, had been married for 16 years at the time they disappeared. They were parents to 5 children: Ruthie, Stacy, Bonnie, Crystal, and Johnny. John was an independent truck driver, and Shelley was a dedicated stay-at-home mother. Their lives revolved around family, routine, and the peaceful simplicity of their rural life. Nothing in their background suggested a couple ready to vanish, nor was there any sign that they were preparing to leave it all behind. The day began like any other. The family had breakfast together, and the children left for school, not knowing it would be the last time they saw their parents. When the kids returned that afternoon, the house was unlocked, and both parents and their red and silver 1990 Chevrolet pickup truck were gone. This was immediately alarming. Shelley, in particular, was meticulous about her schedule and responsibilities. If she was ever out, she always left a note. But that day, the house was silent and empty. Even more strange, the coffee pot was still on, and John's watch, something he always wore, was left behind. Shelley, a habitual smoker, had not taken her cigarettes or even her purse. As the children searched the house, the unusual details mounted. The gun cabinet was open, though the children had no idea if any firearms were missing. The small safe in the bedroom had been opened, and personal documents like birth certificates were scattered across the floor, as if someone had rummaged through them hastily. Nothing about the scene suggested a calm or planned departure. If they had chosen to leave, why abandon their essentials? The children went to stay with their aunt and uncle while waiting for word from their parents, but no word ever came. 2 days earlier, John's twin sister Bonnie had passed away from cancer. He had been deeply affected by her illness and had raised significant funds for experimental treatments in Mexico. Her passing had left him devastated, but according to his family, he seemed emotionally composed the following day. Still, when the couple failed to attend Bonnie's funeral, the alarm was fully raised. There were no signs of forced entry or violence in the home, and at first, investigators considered that John and Shelley might have left voluntarily, overwhelmed by a series of personal tragedies. In the years leading up to their disappearance, they had suffered one loss after another: a house fire, the passing of John's father, and the tragic loss of their nephew. The cumulative emotional toll was immense. However, those who knew them well firmly rejected the idea that they would abandon their children without explanation or preparation. Shortly after they were reported missing, John and Shelley's truck was found 10 miles away in a hardware store parking lot on Elm Road. It was locked, but covered in mud. Very out of character for John, who took pride in keeping his truck spotless. Their cell phone was inside, and the missing tarps from their garage were in the truck bed. The scene only deepened the mystery. Adding to the intrigue, a check had been cashed at a nearby bank just hours after the couple left home. Shelley had signed it, and the teller remembered seeing another man in the truck with them. Unfortunately, she couldn't describe the man or identify him later. This unknown individual has never been traced, but he may be the key to unraveling what really happened that morning. Then came an unexpected twist. A former employee of John's, a man named Stephen Durst, contacted the family claiming he was holding the Markleys captive. He demanded a ransom, either $10,000 or $100,000, depending on varying reports. When he came to collect what he thought was a ransom payment, he was arrested. Police later determined that he was likely taking advantage of the situation. While he failed a polygraph test on certain questions, law enforcement believed his involvement ended with the extortion attempt. He was convicted and sentenced to several years in prison, but no further charges related to the disappearance were ever brought against him. As the days turned into weeks and months, the search continued. Air and water searches covered vast areas including lakes, quarries, and wooded regions. Nothing was found. A community of volunteers aided the search, but there were no traces, no clothing, no belongings, no signs of a crash or struggle. The case grew cold, but it never left the minds of the people involved. The couple's children were taken in by their aunt and uncle, Linda and Thomas, who had originally come to Ohio to attend Bonnie's funeral. They moved into the Markley home to provide a sense of normalcy and stability for the children. Linda and Thomas became their guardians, carrying the weight of their own grief while stepping into the void left by John and Shelley. In the years since the disappearance, there have been few credible leads. Rumors have swirled about sightings, possible connections to other crimes, and unconfirmed hints of what might have happened, but none have yielded definitive answers. One name, Kurtzman, was briefly mentioned in later discussions, though any connection to the Markleys remains unclear. As time passes, the absence of John and Shelley Markley becomes more haunting. Their children have grown up with more questions than answers, living their lives under the shadow of that December day. For many, the heart of the mystery lies not just in how they disappeared, but why. There was no warning, no farewell, and no closure. Only a lingering sense of confusion, sadness, and unresolved grief. Whatever happened that day remains buried in silence. Whether John and Shelley encountered someone who meant them harm, or whether they made a desperate decision to leave behind their life, the truth has remained elusive. The empty house, the untouched belongings, the abandoned truck, all of it points to a moment of rupture, but stops short of telling the full story. The disappearance of John and Shelley Markley is a case built on unanswered questions and vanishing clues. For now, it stands as a chilling reminder that even those who seem firmly rooted in family and routine can vanish, leaving behind a mystery that time alone cannot resolve. Until new evidence emerges, their fate remains one of Ohio's most enduring and heartbreaking unsolved cases. The mystery of Joyce Irene Walcott. Joyce Irene Walcott was just 19 years old when she vanished on April 29, 1986, in Reseda, California. That spring day was supposed to be routine, even hopeful. Joyce was dropping off job applications, eager to join the workforce and begin building a future after overcoming a string of personal setbacks. She left behind 2 friends at a nearby donut shop, with plans to meet up shortly after finishing her last errand at a store next door. But Joyce never returned. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared, leaving behind no clear answers, no strong evidence, and a lifetime of questions. Joyce was one of 5 children born to Danny and Helen Walcott. After the passing of her father when she was just 9 years old, the family eventually moved to Farmington, New Mexico. However, Joyce longed for something more and decided to relocate to California in 1985 to live with her Aunt Irene and cousin Jason. She hoped for a fresh start, and Irene welcomed her with open arms, eventually coming to think of Joyce as a daughter. Despite a few setbacks, including 2 car accidents that same year and a subsequent medical diagnosis that required corrective surgery, Joyce remained determined to move forward. She wore a neck brace after the operation and postponed her plans to return to high school, but she was not one to give up easily. During her time in Reseda, Joyce began dating 21-year-old Scott Noon, a shipping clerk who lived in the same apartment complex. Their relationship quickly became serious, and by March 1986, she had moved into his apartment. Just weeks later, she began the process of looking for work. With job applications in hand, she walked the streets of Sherman Way, the same street she lived on, visiting local businesses in hopes of securing employment. On the day she disappeared, Joyce stopped by 7-Eleven and the Vons supermarket before arriving at Winchell's Donut House around midday. Whether she arrived alone or met friends there varies depending on the source, but what is clear is that she left 2 friends at the donut shop and told them she was heading next door to drop off an application at the Savon store. She promised to return shortly. She never did. At first, her absence was brushed off. Her friends assumed she had gone somewhere else, and no one suspected anything out of the ordinary until later that evening, when Scott returned home from work and found she hadn't returned. He immediately grew concerned. This was completely out of character for Joyce. She was responsible and dependable, not the type to vanish without a word. When it became clear she wasn't at her aunt's home either, both Scott and Irene went to the police to file a report. Initially, their concerns were dismissed. Officers told them that Joyce was likely just another teenager who had chosen to leave for a while and would probably return on her own. They were told to wait 24 hours before filing an official missing persons report. That delay would become one of the first frustrations in what would become a long, painful search for answers. Once the report was filed, the investigation into Joyce's disappearance began. But even then, law enforcement seemed slow to take the case seriously. Joyce had no history of running away, no known disputes with friends or family, and no signs of personal distress beyond the recent challenges she had already been working to overcome. All of her belongings, except for her job applications and birth certificate, were left behind in the apartment she shared with Scott. Over time, concern grew. Missing persons posters were distributed not only across California, but also in Joyce's hometown of Farmington, New Mexico. Her family and loved ones were convinced that she had not chosen to leave voluntarily. She had no known plans to travel, no packed bags, and no motive for disappearing. If she had decided to leave, why hadn't she taken anything meaningful with her? As detectives began to explore the possibility of foul play, they interviewed those who had last seen her. Scott was quickly ruled out as a suspect. His alibi was confirmed, and there was no evidence linking him to Joyce's disappearance. Investigators visited the Savon store to speak with staff, but none of them remembered seeing Joyce that day. Moreover, there was no record of her having turned in an application there, adding another troubling layer to the case. This meant that whatever happened to her likely occurred within the short distance between the donut shop and the pharmacy. A few people came forward with possible sightings. One witness said they had seen a woman resembling Joyce speaking on a payphone outside of Savon around the time she disappeared. Another claimed to have seen her sitting on a nearby bench, visibly upset and crying. There was even a report that she had been seen working as a waitress several miles away, but none of these leads could be verified. Each one eventually faded into uncertainty, just like Joyce herself. What remains most unsettling about the case is how abruptly it all occurred. In a matter of moments, on a short walk between two storefronts, a woman with plans, family, and hope simply vanished. There were no witnesses to a confrontation, no sounds of struggle, no camera footage to review. The case lacked the usual signs that often point investigators toward answers. Over the years, Joyce's case has gone cold. No new developments have brought her family closer to understanding what happened that day in April 1986. Despite the passage of time, her loved ones continue to hope that one day someone will come forward with new information. Something small, perhaps, but just enough to help piece together the truth. Joyce Walcott was more than a name on a missing persons poster. She was a daughter, a niece, a girlfriend, and a young woman working hard to build a future after enduring her share of hardships. Her disappearance is not only a tragedy, but also a stark reminder of how quickly and quietly someone can vanish. The mystery of the lead mask case. The unsolved lead masks case originated in the mountainous regions of Rio de Janeiro. During a particularly sunny summer day in 1966, a young guy accidentally made a chilling discovery. Adjacent to each other, and appearing to be unharmed, the deceased individuals donned lead masks covering their eyes. The little possessions they had at their disposal provided no explanations as to what happened to them, and one of them had a note in his pocket that further intensified the mystery. Over time, several hypotheses on the mysterious incident have surfaced, encompassing both ordinary and supernatural explanations. Nevertheless, detectives remain unaware of the reasons behind the two deceased individuals donning lead masks, the specific factors that attracted them to the Rio Highlands, or even how they passed away in the first place. A young man called Jorge da Costa Alves made the decision on August 20th, 1966, to launch his kite into the hills. During his stroll around Vintem Hill in Niterói, Rio de Janeiro, he encountered the alarming sight of two deceased individuals buried in the dense vegetation. When the cops came, they discovered an unusual scene. Both deceased individuals donned raincoats over their tailored clothes and improvised lead masks to cover their eyes. Close by were a vacant water bottle, a few towels, and a little amount of money. However, the most peculiar indication was a note found in the pocket of one of the deceased individuals. The text stated the following: 16:30, be at agreed place. 18:30, swallow capsules. After effect, protect metals, wait for mask signal. The case involving lead masks had commenced. However, while the police successfully collected further information regarding the deceased individuals in the subsequent days, each response merely prompted further inquiries. Law enforcement promptly identified the individuals as Manuel Pereira de Cruz, age 32, and Miguel José Viana, age 34. Both of them were married technicians specializing in electronics, hailing from Campos dos Goitacazes, some 175 miles northeast of Niterói. Armed with their identities, the authorities endeavored to follow their footsteps. The investigation revealed that Pereira de Cruz and Viana informed their families on the morning of August 17th about their intention to travel to São Paulo in order to purchase equipment and a vehicle. The two men had instead embarked on a bus bound for Niterói. Upon reaching Niterói at 4 in the afternoon, the men made multiple stops. They purchased indistinguishable raincoats from a nearby department store and a bottle of mineral water from a bar. Noteworthy, they retained their receipt, indicating their intention to return the empty bottle at a later time for the reimbursement. Nevertheless, those who recalled them could discern that something was amiss. The barman who had furnished Viana and Pereira de Cruz with the water bottle remembered that Viana appeared anxious. According to her account to the police, he repeatedly inspected his watch. Shortly thereafter, the lead mask's case became inaccessible. Manuel Pereira de Cruz and Miguel Jose Viana were last seen departing for the nearby hills at approximately 3:15 in the afternoon. 3 days later, they were found lifeless. Presently, the precise events that transpired in the hills of Rio de Janeiro during that peculiar August remain uncertain. Due to their extensive decomposition, the bodies of Pereira de Cruz and Viana provided little indications for a precise toxicology analysis. Nevertheless, theories have developed throughout the years. As authorities found at the time, Pereira de Cruz and Viana were not just technicians in the field of electronics repair. According to Pereira de Cruz's wife, both individuals had experimented with scientific spiritism and had a fascination with establishing communication with extraterrestrial beings. They had made several attempts with their acquaintance, Elcio Gomez. At one point, a collaboratively constructed electronic gadget spontaneously detonated in the backyard of Pereira de Cruz. In an apparent attempt, the trio retested the device on a beach and asserted to have observed a meteorological detonation in the atmosphere. However, law enforcement pursued more conventional leads. The authorities briefly considered Gomes as a potential suspect after Pereira de Cruz's wife reported that he had engaged in a physical altercation with her husband. Furthermore, Gomes had recounted conflicting narratives to them. Moreover, Hamilton Bazzani confessed to the police that he had assisted in the theft and taking the life of Pereira de Cruz and Viana after encountering them at a spiritualism center and enticing them to Niterói. Nevertheless, the police authorities were unsuccessful in substantiating his account. Ultimately, it is insufficient to ascertain the motives behind the two men's decision to venture into the hills. The mystery persists in captivating and exasperating readers as the events that unfolded once they reached the summit remain unknown. With a specific objective in mind, Manuel Pereira de Cruz and Miguel Jose Viana ascended Vintem Hill. An eye mask made of lead was carefully placed over their eyes. Then their world vanished, and the mystery surrounding the lead mask's case continues to this day. The mystery of the Somerville Light. Nestled in the quiet, rural expanse of Somerville, South Carolina, lies a mystery that has perplexed and fascinated residents and visitors alike for generations. Known as the Somerville Light, this eerie, glowing phenomenon has been the subject of countless stories, sightings, and investigations. Appearing on a dark, deserted stretch of road outside of town, the Somerville Light is often described as a single glowing orb that hovers just above the ground, illuminating the night with an otherworldly glow. While many have attempted to explain the light through science or folklore, its true nature remains elusive, leading many to believe that it is a genuine and unexplained phenomenon. The first recorded sightings of the Somerville Light date back to the early 20th century, although local legends suggest that the phenomenon may have been observed long before then. According to these accounts, the light appears most frequently on foggy or misty nights, when the conditions are just right for the mysterious orb to manifest. It is often seen along an old abandoned road that runs through the dense woods outside Somerville, a location that only adds to the eerie atmosphere surrounding the light. Witnesses describe the Somerville Light as a bright, white or yellowish orb that hovers in the air, moving slowly along the road or through the trees. The light is often reported to change size and intensity, sometimes appearing as a small, faint glow, and at other times as a large, blazing sphere that lights up the entire area. Despite its brightness, the light does not seem to have a visible source, such as a lantern or vehicle, and it moves in ways that defy conventional explanation. Over the years, the Somerville Light has become a local legend, with residents sharing stories of their own encounters with the mysterious orb. Some claim to have seen the light from a distance, while others report having been approached by the light as they drove or walked along the old road. In some cases, the light is said to have followed them, keeping pace with their vehicle or appearing in their rearview mirror, only to disappear as suddenly as it appeared. The Somerville Light has inspired numerous theories and explanations over the years, as people have tried to make sense of the phenomenon. One of the most common explanations is that the light is the result of natural causes, such as swamp gas or reflections from distant lights. Swamp gas, or methane, is known to produce a faint glow when it comes into contact with oxygen, and some believe that the conditions in the Somerville area might be just right for this to occur. However, skeptics of the swamp gas theory point out that the Somerville light does not behave like typical swamp gas ignitions, which are usually short-lived and erratic. The Somerville light, by contrast, is often observed for extended periods of time and appears to move with purpose, as if guided by an unseen hand. Another popular theory is that the light is a form of ball lightning, a rare and poorly understood atmospheric phenomenon that involves glowing, spherical objects of electricity. Ball lightning is known to appear during thunderstorms or other electrical disturbances, and it can move in unpredictable ways. However, like the swamp gas theory, this explanation does not fully account for the behavior of the Somerville light, which is often seen on calm, clear nights when there is no electrical activity in the area. For those who believe in the paranormal, the Somerville light is often seen as a manifestation of ghostly or supernatural energy. Some local legends suggest that the light is the spirit of a long-dead railroad worker who lost their life in a tragic accident along the old road. According to this story, the worker's ghost returns on certain nights, carrying a lantern as he searches for something lost or unfinished. Others believe that the light is a portal to another dimension or a glimpse of an alternate reality, a view that adds to the mystique and allure of the phenomenon. The Somerville light has become more than just a mystery, it is a part of the town's cultural fabric. The Blackbird of Chernobyl. On April 26, 1986, the world witnessed one of the most catastrophic nuclear disasters in history. The explosion of Reactor 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine. But in the months leading up to this disaster, a strange and eerie phenomenon was reported by the workers at Chernobyl, a mysterious winged creature that has since become known as the Blackbird of Chernobyl. According to the residents of Pripyat and workers at the Chernobyl power plant, this creature was seen hovering ominously over the plant and occasionally perching on the large towers and construction areas. The sightings, which began in the weeks and months before the disaster, were marked by a sense of foreboding and dread, with many of those who encountered the creature reporting feelings of unease and fear. For some, the appearance of the Blackbird was an omen, a warning of the impending disaster that would soon change their lives forever. The first sightings of the Blackbird of Chernobyl were reported in early 1986, just a few months before the reactor explosion. Workers at the plant began to notice a large, dark figure in the sky, resembling a bird, but much larger than any species known to the area. The creature was described as having a wingspan of at least 10 feet, with dark, leathery wings and piercing red eyes that seemed to glow in the dark. It was often seen circling the plant or perched on the massive cooling towers, its presence both mysterious and unsettling. As the sightings continued, reports of strange occurrences began to spread among the workers. Some claimed that the creature emitted a high-pitched screech that was both terrifying and unearthly. Others reported having vivid nightmares after seeing the Blackbird, dreams filled with images of destruction, fire, and death. A sense of impending doom began to take hold among those who had encountered the creature, with many fearing that it was a sign of something terrible to come. The Blackbird was not just a fleeting shadow or a figment of imagination. Its presence was felt deeply by those who saw it, leaving an indelible mark on their psyche. Some workers even reported receiving mysterious phone calls after their sightings, with a voice on the other end speaking in a language they could not understand, further heightening their sense of dread. As news of the explosion spread, those who had witnessed the Blackbird in the weeks leading up to the disaster began to piece together the connection. For them, the creature had been a harbinger of doom, a warning that went unheeded until it was too late. The Blackbird of Chernobyl, once dismissed by skeptics as a mere myth or mass hallucination, was now seen as an omen that had foretold the catastrophe. The disaster itself had devastating consequences. The legend of the Blackbird of Chernobyl has endured in the decades since the disaster, becoming part of the mythology surrounding the event. For some, the creature is seen as a symbol of the tragedy, a supernatural entity that appears before major disasters as a warning or an omen. Similar creatures have been reported in other parts of the world, often associated with catastrophic events, leading some to believe that the blackbird is part of a broader phenomenon. In the years following the Chernobyl disaster, the legend of the blackbird of Chernobyl has drawn comparisons to another famous creature from American folklore, the Mothman. The Mothman is a legendary figure first reported in the small town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, in the mid-1960s. Like the blackbird of Chernobyl, the Mothman is described as a large, winged creature with glowing red eyes, and its appearance is often linked to impending disaster. The parallels between the two creatures have led some to speculate that they may be connected, possibly even manifestations of the same supernatural entity. The story of the Mothman began in November 1966, when residents of Point Pleasant reported sightings of a large, bird-like creature with glowing red eyes and a wingspan of over 10 feet. The creature was often seen near the abandoned West Virginia Ordnance Works, a former military facility, and its presence quickly became associated with a sense of dread and impending doom. In the months following the initial sightings, the town of Point Pleasant was plagued by strange occurrences, including mysterious lights in the sky, unusual animal behavior, and eerie phone calls. The Mothman was spotted repeatedly, often near the site of these disturbances, and the sense of unease among the townspeople grew. The sightings culminated in a tragic event on December 15, 1967, when the Silver Bridge, which connected Point Pleasant to Gallipolis, Ohio, suddenly collapsed during rush hour, causing 46 people to lose their lives. The legend of the Mothman has since become an enduring part of American folklore, inspiring books, documentaries, and even a Hollywood film. For many, the Mothman is seen as a harbinger of disaster, a supernatural entity that appears to warn of impending tragedy. The similarities between the blackbird of Chernobyl and the Mothman are striking. Both creatures are described as large, winged beings with glowing red eyes, and both are associated with a sense of foreboding and disaster. The fact that the blackbird was sighted in the months leading up to the Chernobyl disaster, much like the Mothman was seen before the Silver Bridge collapse, has led some to speculate that the two creatures could be connected. One theory is that the blackbird and the Mothman are different manifestations of the same supernatural entity. This entity, according to believers, appears in various forms to warn of impending disasters. The sightings of these creatures are seen as omens, meant to alert people to the danger that lies ahead. Proponents of this theory point to the consistent descriptions of the creatures, the timing of their appearances, and the similar feelings of dread reported by witnesses as evidence of a connection. Some researchers suggest that the blackbird of Chernobyl and the Mothman might be part of a broader phenomenon of phantoms or creatures that appear before major disasters. These creatures are often described as having otherworldly characteristics, such as glowing eyes, unusual sizes, or the ability to vanish suddenly. Theories about their origins range from the paranormal to the extraterrestrial, with some suggesting that these beings are sent by higher powers to warn humanity of impending doom. The Lost Giants of Ecuador. In 2012, a remarkable discovery was unveiled in the depths of the Ecuadorian jungles. This discovery pertained to the remnants of an immense structure measuring 260 feet in height and 260 feet in width. Comprising numerous 2-ton blocks, the site was dubbed the Lost City of Giants by author and researcher Bruce Fenton. This title was inspired by the oversized tools unearthed in its proximity and the local folklore that recounts the existence of a civilization of colossal humans who once thrived in the area. The unearthing of these colossal tools and the allusions to a race of giant inhabitants has continued to captivate the imagination and intrigue of scientists and historians. The extensive scale of the structure's components and its contextual association with massive tools has fueled intense speculation regarding the existence of a civilization of gigantic beings. The expansive edifice comprises a wall that inclines at a 60-degree angle, featuring a level surface at its pinnacle, which has yielded a plethora of artifacts upon excavation. Describing the site, Mr. Duvernay suggested that the configuration resembles a paved wall or an ancient thoroughfare or plaza characterized by a 60-degree inclination, conceivably serving as the cap of a larger architectural entity. The precision in the alignment of numerous stones, their impeccably sharp edges, and apparent human craftsmanship point to their deliberate sculpting. Mr. Duverneul shared these observations following an extensive expedition to the location during the months of April and May, providing valuable insights into the remarkable findings. The courageous explorers who chanced upon the remarkable structure have now embarked on the careful process of unveiling further details about their discovery. Among these findings is the unearthing of several massive stones featuring perfectly cut circular holes at their centers. This evidence serves to discredit the theory suggesting that the colossal pyramid-like structure could merely be a natural occurrence. Interestingly, it is becoming evident that the significance of this discovery surpasses initial expectations. The implications of this finding suggest that it may hold the key to unraveling many of South America's enigmatic mysteries, and could potentially lead to the revelation of one of the world's most coveted treasures. A multinational team of researchers has put forward the notion that the structure they have discovered could potentially serve as the resting place of Atahualpa, the final ruler of the Incan Empire. Atahualpa met his demise after being captured by the Spanish, resulting in the widespread belief that he was interred alongside a vast fortune in gold, collected by his adherents in an unsuccessful attempt to secure his freedom. The pursuit of this tomb and its accompanying riches has captured the imagination of historians and treasure hunters globally, prompting numerous expeditions in search of this elusive prize, yet none have succeeded in their quest thus far. Bruce Fenton, a British researcher residing in Ecuador and well-versed in the indigenous cultures of the region, holds a contrasting view. He suggests that the recently unearthed site might have origins predating the Inca era and possibly linked to an unidentified pre-Inca civilization. This perspective is rooted in the discovery of around 30 basic tools at the site, alongside the extensive erosion evident on the large stone blocks. The rudimentary tools and the level of erosion observed have led Fenton to postulate a significantly earlier timeline for the site's establishment, challenging the prevailing notion regarding its historical significance. The Ecuadorian authorities have been informed about the discovery, and a team of archaeologists and paleontologists is anticipated to undertake an official expedition. Nonetheless, the investigation of the site is hindered by treacherous conditions. The journey through thick, mountainous jungle from the closest town takes approximately 8 hours, with one of the routes being notorious for the dangers posed by attacks from African bees. Despite these challenges, efforts are underway to facilitate a comprehensive exploration of the area to unveil its historical and scientific significance. For those unaware, back in 2012 when the initial discovery was made, the site under exploration, a remarkably colossal pyramidal-style edifice measuring about 80 meters in both length and height, is situated, featuring steeply inclined walls. This construction comprises asymmetrical, large, hewn stone blocks, with each block estimated to weigh around 2 tons at present. The walls of the structure consist of hundreds of these blocks meticulously assembled together. This architectural marvel showcases meticulous craftsmanship and engineering, reflecting the advanced skills of its builders and leaving a significant impact on the site's historical and archaeological significance. In the elevated region, there lies a level surface that is believed to have functioned as a ceremonial or possibly sacrificial platform utilized by priests. Surrounding this area, numerous stone and pottery artifacts are strewn about. Several of these items bear resemblance to stone tools that might have been employed in either mining or refining various types of metal ore. Both the architectural style of the structures and the nature of the discovered objects point towards an enigmatic pre-Inca civilization. Notably, further examination is imperative to corroborate these observations, a task that Fenton and his team are poised to undertake in the imminent future. This comprehensive investigation aims to shed light on this ancient culture and unearth new insights regarding its practices, beliefs, and technological advancements. Fenton's observations have identified certain tools within the site that would pose significant challenges for an average-sized individual to wield effectively. As a result, he has postulated that this location could be linked to the fabled lost cities of the giants, a prominent element in local Ecuadorian folklore centered on the Amazonian region. These sites instill profound apprehension in contemporary jungle tribes, as they are believed to be safeguarded by spiritual sentinels or entities not of terrestrial origins. Such legends have endured, evoking both fear and fascination, and continue to permeate the modern understanding of this enigmatic locale. Local folklore tells of colossal humans inhabiting long-forgotten cities steeped in the annals of time. Evidence of giant skeletal remains discovered in caves within the region and across various parts of Ecuador lends credence to these tales. Historically, this specific locale was revered as a major convergence point for diverse tribes, with groups from as far as Brazil making the arduous journey due to the area's perceived enduring significance and considerable energetic resonance. The research team has currently discovered numerous substantial hills in close proximity to the authenticated pyramid construction, with each hill matching the supposed pyramid in size. It is plausible that these hills could potentially be undiscovered pyramids. If proven true, this discovery could indicate the existence of a remarkably large city and a complex of pyramids. This finding has the potential to significantly reshape our understanding of the historical and archaeological landscape in the region. A globally diverse group of specialists in ancient megalithic structures and pyramid technologies are making preparations for upcoming expeditions to the location. Their objective includes precise mapping and the production of a 1-hour documentary highlighting the remarkable attributes of this captivating site. During the course of the investigation, extensive soil removal on a large hill exposed what appear to be carefully cut and refined stone blocks. These blocks exhibit remarkably smooth surfaces, their aging process seemingly slowed by a protective layer of earth. Conversely, on an alternate side of the pyramid structure, a weathered and eroded wall has been unveiled, contrasting with the stones still concealed by soil. This observation lends support to the hypothesis that, if of human origin, the site is indeed exceptionally ancient, surpassing the age of other known sites in Ecuador. Fenton has put forth the theory that a seismic event or a heavy tropical rainstorm triggered a landslide, resulting in the descent of soil and vegetation from one of the walls. The pyramid wall exhibits a diverse range of shapes and sizes in its blocks, creating a seemingly disorderly yet intriguingly unique architectural style. If it were indeed constructed by humans, the construction challenges faced by the engineers and builders of that era would have been quite significant. Upon close examination of the stone blocks, it is evident that a resilient bonding substance, akin to cement or concrete, exists between them. While it is widely believed that the Inca civilization refrained from using mortar and instead fashioned blocks to seamlessly interlock, the presence of bonding material amidst certain large cut stone blocks challenges this notion. Closer scrutiny also raises the possibility that this substance could be a form of vitrified material. Furthermore, instances of vitrified stone have been observed at various ancient sites across Latin America, indicating a recurring phenomenon. This discovery sheds new light on the construction techniques employed by ancient civilizations, prompting further exploration and analysis in the field of archaeology. The researchers at the excavation site also stumbled upon what seemed to be exceptionally large implements, seemingly impractical for individuals of average stature to wield. This discovery has prompted Fenton to speculate that this site could be one of the fabled lost cities of the giants, prominently featured in local Ecuadorian folklore about the Amazonian region. These legends revolve around colossal humanoids who inhabited cities that have since faded into obscurity throughout history. Notably, the region has seen the unearthing of massive skeletal remains in caves, further reinforcing the presence of gigantic inhabitants, a phenomenon not limited to this particular area but also observed in various other regions of Ecuador. The implements seem to resemble excessively large hammers, perhaps with stone heads. If these were affixed to sturdy wooden shafts, they would possess remarkable size and weight, rendering them impractical for everyday use by the average Incan or indigenous Indian. These individuals were typically of slight build, with an average height of about 5 feet, making it challenging for them to wield such hefty tools effectively. Mysterious creatures photographed in Brazil. A Brazilian man captured some odd images of what appear to be mysterious creatures on his camera. The Bahian government imposed a curfew on the area in the middle of 2021, prohibiting people from leaving their homes at night. However, this seemed to only apply to humans, since locals started reporting seeing weird animals out and about throughout the night. They described them as smaller than people, coated in black hair, and possessing a dog-like face. People began to sneak out in the hopes of seeing these monsters as a result of these rumors, and one local was successful in doing just that. Following their capture, The photos were circulated on social media. Some locals weren't so confident and didn't want to venture outside at night for fear of seeing these animals. Reverse image searches yield no results, suggesting that the photos are authentic. Locals have also attested to the veracity of what they observe in the area, and soon after, people began to form links with both these animals and the mysterious night crawlers, which are claimed to be two-legged beings. According to old American myths, these animals have been on Earth for a long time, and they are said to have originated on a planet that was mostly made of swamps, which explains why they have such long legs. Those who have studied these creatures have said that they are able to walk across the swampy marshlands that are found all over the country. However, some have claimed that they only rarely land and spend the majority of their time in and around our waters. They have also noted that they are comparable to other mysterious species that have been spotted close to our oceans, and they claim that this is one of the primary reasons why we don't see them very often. The creatures have been spotted in the California region over the years. The nightcrawler has been characterized as an ethereal, strange-looking creature that has frequently been the subject of a great deal of skepticism. This is because the only proof of an encounter with the creature comes from uncut security footage that shows the strange entity walking through residential backyards and covering large distances. The nightcrawler is also said to be a creature that is simple to manufacture, since it resembles a big white cloth wrapped over a long-legged human moving slowly on film. As a result, several video analysts have examined the tape to see whether or not it has been altered in any manner. Not only did they discover that the footage was authentic, but they also discovered that they could reconstruct the creature's whole course, traversing numerous locations throughout the city until completely vanishing, by utilizing the angle and direction of the cameras. The night crawlers have been seen in the film at heights comparable to those of children, men, and even cats. Despite their varied sizes, they are always seen walking on two long white legs with no arms of any type. This has led some people to conclude that the creature is nothing more than the application of practical effects. In addition, the creature's movements are correlated with the billowing movements of the wind, and the footage is uncut with lights and shadows, indicating that the thing exists in 3 dimensions. Many people have come to believe that the bizarre night crawlers are real, thanks to years of unending footage of them. Occasionally, someone will report seeing the elusive creature, but it has been difficult to get footage of it because they are not expecting to. Utah skinwalker sighting. In 2018, the terrifying image was posted to Reddit under the title Utah skinwalker sighting. According to the poster, their friend's ex-husband took the picture, and they said that the father of the ex-husband and him were on a rural property to examine the scene of an alleged incident that had occurred a few weeks prior. They claim that a man brandishing a shotgun approached them and shook his head, telling them not to be by themselves on this section of the land. He gave them a warning shot and motioned for them to go away. Along a dusty driveway, the father and the ex-husband fled as quickly as they could. They illuminated their path with the camera's flash, and as they were doing this, a number of photographs were captured. After telling their friends and relatives about the strange experience for a few weeks, they finally made the decision to see if the camera had captured any images of them running. One of the pictures captured a really unsettling moment. A humanoid figure is visible in the center of the road. Its torso is extremely thick, and it is heavy and brown, and it appears to be plodding across the road with a slight slouch. The individual who posted the photograph thinks it might be proof of the notorious skinwalker, and if this image turns out to be genuine, it will be one of the few in existence that shows the creature. The mythology and folklore of many Native American tribes, especially the Navajo people of the Southwest, have a strong influence on skinwalkers. It is thought that these mysterious entities have the capacity to change into animals at will, usually with malicious intent. The history of skinwalkers is veiled in legend and custom, intricately linked to the Navajo people's spiritual convictions. A skinwalker, according to Navajo folklore, is a person who has attained supernatural abilities through witchcraft and dark magic, frequently by carrying out forbidden deeds. The ability to shapeshift into an animal and take on its physical attributes is supposed to be granted to the skinwalker by donning the skin or hide of that animal. In Navajo culture, The capacity to change into an animal is typically connected to shaman, or healers and medicine men or women who utilize their abilities for the good of their community. The idea of the skinwalker, on the other hand, is a distortion of this spiritual discipline in which people use their abilities for nefarious or self-serving ends, and it's reported that skinwalkers are capable of more than only shape-shifting. When in animal shape, they are claimed to possess increased strength, speed, and agility, making them extremely dangerous opponents. They might display strange traits in human form, like mind control, telepathy, and the capacity to influence the elements. The ability of skinwalkers to mimic human voices and noises is one of the most terrifying characteristics of skinwalker lore. They frequently use this talent to entice victims or instill dread and bewilderment. They are thought to feed on people's inadequacies and vulnerabilities, instilling terror in those they come into contact with. Mysterious object taken down over Brazil. Thousands of individuals in Brazil reported seeing strange lights back in 2020. Videos of these strange lights are beginning to circulate online as more and more individuals record them. Some residents reported seeing lights pulse and dart across the sky, while others described seeing objects resembling orbs that would hover in one spot before suddenly vanishing. There is no doubt that a large number of residents have succeeded in photographing these unusual lights. North of Rio de Janeiro is where the lights have been most seen. Locals have been bringing in their videos, and thus at the time, the Brazilian press began covering the objects. These activities have been taking place in Mage, and the region has even started to trend on social media. However, some claimed that the trend was only taken down after around an hour, and this caused some to suggest that the trend was removed from social media on purpose in order to stop more people asking questions. Remarkably, the situation changed when locals reported that one of the objects encountered difficulties and crashed. There have been reports that the item struck the earth a few days after the original sighting, at which point other lights were reported to be visible. One of the residents, intrigued by what had transpired, made the adventurous decision to search for the fallen craft. They quickly arrived at the location, where they could plainly see a metallic, spherical-looking object. It looked as though it was glowing blue from the inside and was releasing some kind of steam. The video is cut after only about 15 seconds. Some have questioned the object's legitimacy, despite its intriguing and futuristic appearance. As of right now, many have claimed that the alleged object was created by someone to give the impression that the entire event was staged. However, as someone pointed out, how did this thing manage to materialize so quickly? It was also noted that there was extremely high background radiation in the vicinity of the object's discovery, which at the time was unexplainable. Some claimed that this characteristic was shared by UFOs that had landed, and some viewers of the video have said that it's well shot and that the item appears to be much larger thanks to camera techniques. It appears that unusual visitors have occurred in Brazil on occasion. Researchers have spent countless hours trying to determine the truth behind the numerous unidentified flying objects that have been reported from this area throughout the years. While some have called the object a hoax, others have also made the point that you shouldn't let it take your attention away from the real lights that have been photographed. Photographs of the mysterious Duende. The Duende, a small gnome-like creature steeped in Hispanic folklore, captivates the imagination with its strange presence and whimsical nature. The concept of the Duende finds its roots in folklore, where it is believed to have emerged from ancient beliefs and superstitions passed down through generations. Unlike malevolent creatures of other traditions, the creature is often portrayed as mischievous, yet not inherently harmful, known for playing pranks on unsuspecting travelers or local villagers. Stories of encounters with the creature often emphasize its elusive nature and magical abilities, such as shape-shifting or invisibility, adding to its mystical allure. They were held accountable for numerous odd occurrences that occurred in and around homes, and some have concluded that these creatures are tricking you as a result of this. They appear to be rather innocuous in the majority of stories. Some even advise you to give them your first bite of any meal in order to stay on your good side. According to reports from other residents, you can call out to these creatures, and they will come to your aid if you become lost in the woods. This seems to hold true as long as you didn't hurt anyone. The Watchers of the Woods warn the villagers when they go outside to play in the area. The creature was always keeping an eye on them, so they were warned not to get into too much trouble in the woods and not to hurt any animals for fun. And if they saw you misbehaving, they would come to you and drag you into their cave, which is located far into the forest. Strangely enough, photos purporting to depict these mysterious creatures have surfaced in recent years. The photographers claim that these images are challenging to obtain because the majority of the sightings occurred at night, making it impossible for the cameras to catch the images. Nonetheless, the images do seem to depict little, humanoid-like creatures, which is consistent with the creature's general description. Dogman caught on camera at zoo. A user on social media uploaded this strange image to Reddit, where it has already sparked some thought-provoking discussions over what this object might be. Trail cameras have long been used to record unusual critters, and in more recent times, they have allowed us to get insight into some of the animals that inhabit these far-off places. But since this picture was taken right outside of a zoo, several people were left wondering if the creature was maybe stalking the animals there. The uploader claims that a game camera outside of the Texas Zoo took the mysterious picture. When it was first uploaded, it was posted in a private zookeeper Facebook group. The keeper said that they were unable to identify the object after seeing it on a trail camera aimed at a perimeter fence. Those who saw the image said that the camera was aimed at the outer barrier from inside the zoo. Because most of the photos are of wild animals, as you would expect from a trail camera, some speculated that the private zookeeper wasn't seeking attention. Others responded by saying that this lends greater authenticity to the images. After the post was distributed to organizations that study unexplained phenomena, a user commented that it fit the Dogman's descriptions. This photograph closely resembles eyewitness descriptions of the Dogman creature. Stories about the Dogman have been around for a while, however. There are now very few photos available, most of them featuring hazy animals. This one is still a little fuzzy from the trail camera, but you can clearly see that it's a bipedal animal that resembles a wolf. Despite the Dogman tale, if you were to look at this picture and not know about it, you may think that it's a werewolf or a wolf standing on its hind legs. It's interesting to note that people of Texas claim that these supposed animals fit the general description of the Dogman, a creature that is said to resemble a werewolf and measure between 6 and 7 feet in height. Another account of their contact with the Dogman is based on a personal narrative that was published in recent years and revolves around their meeting that took place in the Texas county of El Paso over 50 years ago. In 1968, an 11-year-old boy and his friends went to a local baseball field in El Paso during the summer to play baseball. The field was about 5 blocks away from Richmond Avenue. Someone hit the baseball at an oblique angle as they were playing, and it flew into the trees next to the baseball pitch as the day was becoming late. It was long past dark by now, with the sun completely set. They were afraid to leave the baseball pitch in case someone was waiting outside to act strangely. The lads approached the fence and turned to face the baseball, but as they did, they noticed an odd man standing outside the fence, facing away from the boys. He refused to turn around, ignoring the youngsters as they cried out to him, asking for help finding the ball. Fearing for their safety, one of the lads picked up a nearby boulder and hurled it in the man's direction, hoping to scare him off or make him turn around. The rock slipped silently to one side, and then the man sank to all fours and appeared to change into a big wolf. The boys claimed that the creature was a werewolf and fled from the thing as a result. They sprinted all the way home without stopping, shut the door, and spent the night at a friend's house rather than making the long trek home. The bedside watcher. These video stills from a hospital surveillance camera appear to show a misty human shape, resembling a child, keeping watch over a patient. However, paranormal researchers have said that there are 3 different interpretations of the person in the bed and their purpose in the hospital. Either an individual suffering from a terminal illness, an elderly man close to passing, or a sleep experiment. Some who have seen the image have said that it's consoling to know that someone is with them during their last moments. These 3 still images are from an infrared surveillance and monitoring camera that was installed in a hospital. A mysterious humanoid figure may be seen standing next to a hospital bed in 2 out of the 3 photos. The figure is almost perched on the railings in one of these video stills, gazing down at the patient. It appears as though the other is making touch with the subject's forehead. The first story tells us it was a part of a sleep analysis experiment, but does not provide a location for the hospital or medical center. The man in the bed had been having nightmares about someone trying to enter his bedroom via the walls in order to get to him when he was awake. His fear over going to bed was causing him to be so terrified that his waking life was negatively impacted. The cameras captured the photos while they were being conducted on him to monitor and investigate what was going on in his brain during these waking nightmares. The second story is that an elderly individual who was about to pass away was lying in bed. The picture was taken right before the person passed away, and many suggested that it might have been their own spirit giving their body one final glance before leaving it behind, or that it might have been one of their close relatives helping them cross over to the other side. The third story is that it's a young individual with an illness, and many people think that this picture, which was taken a long time before he passed away, might be that of a guardian angel or a kind spirit that would watch over those who were about to pass on. It's possible that it was something else entirely. Some people even speculate that the entity may be demonic. Mysterious photographs show the Ogopogo. Reports of a massive serpent-like creature swimming in the waters of British Columbia's Lake Okanagan date back to 1872. Numerous residents and visitors have reported seeing the Ogopogo monster in the lake. When Vancouver resident Ed Fletcher captured this dramatic image of Ogopogo in 1976, it became one of the most well-known sightings of the animal. Fletcher saw a massive serpent-like thing slithering over the lake while he and his companions were taking in the view. He snapped a picture using his camera, and it would go on to be one of the most important pieces of evidence suggesting a cryptid might be swimming in Lake Okanagan. There are reports of a sighting near a beach at Okanagan Mission in 1926. About 30 cars worth of witnesses are said to have seen the same thing during this incident. Art Folden allegedly captured footage of the supposed creature in 1968, capturing a big wake traveling across the sea. After a computer examination of the video, it was determined to be a three-dimensional solid creature. A mobile phone video from 2011 showed two shadowy forms in the sea. Since the 19th century, First Nations people claim to have seen the creature and stated that it is most commonly described as a 40 to 50-foot sea serpent. The creature is classified as a many-hump variety of lake monster by British researcher Carl Schuker, who also speculates that it might be a primitive serpentine whale similar to Basilosaurus, which lived 40 million years ago. However, it has also been proposed that the sightings are misidentifications of ordinary animals, such otters, and inanimate objects, like floating logs, given that the physical evidence for the beast is restricted to grainy photos and film. Moreover, it might be a pliosaur, mosasaur, or plesiosaur. According to a legend, the creature's family resides in a cave in the middle of the lake. According to the Kelowna Daily Courier in British Columbia, 2 experts have decided to examine the remains of a strange animal that was discovered near the Okanagan Lake shore. Several years back, it was reported that a scientist in Alberta would study the body directly, and a researcher in Ontario will receive a tissue sample of the beast for DNA testing. Ghost of a girl captured inside a hospital. Capturing the essence of a ghostly encounter, especially one as poignant and unsettling as the sighting of a little girl in a hospital, evokes a mixture of fascination, curiosity, and perhaps a touch of fear. Such encounters blur the lines between the realms of the living and the departed, prompting questions about existence, spirituality, and the mysteries that linger beyond our understanding. Imagine a hospital ward, where the sterile scent of antiseptic mingles with the hushed murmurs of medical staff and the occasional beep of monitoring equipment. It's an environment charged with emotions, hope, fear, and sometimes sorrow. In this setting, paranormal occurrences may seem out of place, yet they often manifest when least expected, leaving an indelible mark on those who witness them. In this particular account, an individual's encounter with the ghost of a girl unfolded during one of his late-night shifts, a time when the hospital corridors were dimly lit and eerily quiet. The usual hustle and bustle of the day had given way to a palpable stillness, creating an atmosphere ripe for the unexpected. It was during a photograph being taken that the individual in question noticed something unusual near the end of a dimly lit hallway. A faint, almost imperceptible figure stood near a doorway leading to an empty room. At first glance, the person who took the photograph mistook the figure for a child who had wandered away from their parents, perhaps lost and in need of assistance. But as they looked at the image closer, a chill ran down their spine, for the figure appeared translucent, ethereal, and distinctly out of place in the hospital setting. The figure was that of a young girl, no more than 7 or 8 years old, dressed in a simple, outdated dress or hospital gown. As he stood there, not aware of the entity before him, the host was giving off a soft, ambient light emanated from within her, casting a gentle glow on the hallway walls. Despite the surreal nature of the encounter, the individual didn't know it was happening until they reviewed the image. As quickly as she had appeared, the ghostly girl faded from existence, her form dissolving into the ambient light that had surrounded her. In the days that followed, the individual said that they found himself reflecting on the experience with a newfound sense of wonder and reverence. The encounter had left an indelible impression, prompting deeper contemplation of the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding. Man captures images of the Pennsylvanian white Bigfoot. In North American woodlands, sightings of the fabled ape-like monster known as the Sasquatch have been reported. Sightings occur all over the continent, with sightings concentrated in the Pacific Northwest. Some particularly strange sightings in Pennsylvania include a white-furred, Bigfoot-like creature that is typically seen in conjunction with UFOs. In 1970, Blakesley, Pennsylvania saw the first sighting of the Pennsylvania white Bigfoot. Witness Annette reported that the animal she saw in 1970 was between 6 and 7 feet tall, with a long neck, a large chest, and a coat of dirty white fur. Annette continued by saying that it has dark, widely separated eyes, and the lower part of its face was hidden by its white hair. The skin around the forehead and eyes was rosy. It appeared as though its hair hung over its forehead like a fringe, and was a little longer on its head. At 9:30 in the evening on September 27, 1973, 2 girls were standing outside in Beaver County, Pennsylvania, when an 8-foot-tall creature with red-lit eyes and white fur fled into the neighboring woods. In its hands, the humanoid held a big, bright sphere. With hysterics, the girls fled into their home. Then, after spending more than an hour in the woods looking for the thing, the father of one of the girls went there. In the same year, 2 Bigfoot sightings occur simultaneously in the meadow, and a light orb lands close to Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Approximately simultaneously, a bright object passed over the surrounding forest. The 2008, a YouTube video known as the Pennsylvania White Bigfoot clip, was recorded in Carbondale, Pennsylvania. The people of Carbondale have been reporting strange sightings of a white Bigfoot for a long time. The first underground mine in the history of the United States was located in the small city of Carbondale. It was once a significant Delaware and Hudson Railroad terminus. Following receipt of an anonymous email, a local Pennsylvania news station reported on the white, possibly albino creature in July 2008. Some sort of animal about 6 to 7 feet tall, covered in all white fur, was the description given by witnesses, and the communication made particular reference to a Carbondale wooded region close to a mine reclamation facility. Strange noises and disturbances in the woods were noticed by the homeowners, and in one instance, an anonymous man saw something moving in his lawn and managed to get some strange film. The man captured a full second of footage, showing a big white creature that looked a lot like a Bigfoot. The monster in the video darts away as soon as the man's camera catches its face. According to reports on the internet, the video clip exhibits a few strange elements. First of all, the animal has extraordinarily huge body proportions that are difficult to replicate. The species has a hooded nose, a cone-shaped skull, and a distinct brow ridge, and the arms are long and the shoulders are very high. The thing moves quickly, and the creature has little ears and a head covered with white fur. Most significantly, the footage reveals the object's distorted face as it flees, raising the possibility that it is not a mask. Frame 17. One of the most discussed mysteries is the Dyatlov Pass incident. It has been discussed at length, and some researchers claim that it has been clarified. On the other hand, investigators who have examined the case have discovered some discrepancies. When the Soviet Union was still concealed behind the Iron Curtain in 1959, preventing any information from efficiently reaching the media or the outside world, an odd episode took place that still arouses interest and terror in people today. Known as the Dyatlov Pass incident, on February 1st and 2nd, 9 ski hikers ventured into the northern Ural Mountains with the goal of conquering the region that the inhabitants feared because of bizarre rumors and superstitions. Through their exploration of the area, these hikers sought to allay any concerns the villagers may have had and open up the area to future hikers who would come to take in the breathtaking scenery. Sadly, this choice would confirm the superstitiousness of the area and result in the passings of the 9 extremely skilled and knowledgeable hikers. The group's tent, which was set up on the slopes, was found abandoned and severely damaged on February 26th by a rescue crew. When it was discovered that the tent was ripped apart from the inside, it appeared confusing. It was as though the group had started to fear something and had torn through the canvas to escape. Following their tracks in the snow, the group's members' bodies were discovered in a nearby ravine. This discovery only added to the mysteries surrounding the group's disappearance, as most of the bodies were found only wearing their pants, as if they had fled into the snow's darkness without changing before they presumably froze. The idea of hypothermia was immediately called into doubt as the investigation went on and the bodies of the deceased were examined. Medical examiners found that every individual had internal injuries, which are frequently observed in automobile crashes or when a person is struck by a tremendous amount of pressure and force. This gave rise to the theory that the victims may have been attacked by a non-human power that was able to inflict such horrific force and cause their passings. Sadly, neither this idea nor any others like it can ever be proven or refuted. According to one of the most intriguing stories, the group met their end at the hands of a Yeti or Bigfoot-like creature that lives in the isolated areas of the Ural Mountains. Legends of a Yeti-like creature known as the Menk exist among the local Mansi tribe. Moreover, it is claimed to prowl the area where the incident occurred. Among the group's possessions was a well-known photo found on Nikolai Thibault Brignol's camera. There is an odd photo on a shot called Frame 17 that appears to depict a person that resembles a Bigfoot-type creature. Some people think that this figure was actually one of the hikers coming back from a higher area of the land, most likely trying to orient themselves. Given that it was the final photo Thibault Brignol took, some individuals would interpret it more literally than others. The mysterious Zolitario photos. In addition to the previously mentioned reasons to believe Zolitario might not have been who he seemed, he and Brignoles were both significantly better dressed than the others. Unlike the others, they all had inner soles of some kind in their shoes. This has prompted the question of whether they were specifically equipped with equipment that the others were not. According to other ideas, the 2 most likely departed the tent a little earlier than the other 9. Maybe they dressed in whatever they could find and went to relieve themselves. It was intended that they would return within a few minutes, but something occurred that prevented them from going back to the tent. However, Zolitariov's camera on his body is interesting. He was still wearing the camera around his neck. Perhaps even stranger was the fact that this camera was not the same as the one he had with him the entire trip, which would eventually surface among the wreckage of the damaged tent. For whatever reason, the 11 images he took were mysterious and a little unsettling. They display odd flashes, unusual manifestations, and possibly most intriguing, glowing orbs. These mysterious photos were shared on social media, claiming they are proof of La Llorona. Social media users have described the footage of the ghost as the scariest thing they have ever seen, as it appears to be waving loudly from the treetop. Above the tree, a woman's ghostly figure moves. Terrified locals claimed that the ghost materialized in the middle of the day in a treetop in the Colombian community of Monitos, Cordoba. Along the banks of the river, under the dark canopy of trees, there wanders a woman in white. She cries out for her children, and some say, "If you bear witness to the whales, you are surely marked." Her name is Maria. Maria came from a small rural town in Mexico, and although her family was poor, her beauty drew men from all over. This included a wealthy rancher who, when traveling through Maria's town, immediately spotted her and knew he must have her. The man easily won her over, showering her with gifts and attention that she had never had. At first, the marriage seemed strong. Maria and the rancher seemed happy and went on to have 2 sons. It was not long after this, however, that things in her marriage started to change. The rancher continued to travel. Some say he enjoyed a life of alcohol and beautiful women. Others say he went back to his ranch. There were times where he would leave Maria and their boys for months at a time, and when he did return, his attention was only for the boys. Resentment began to well up inside of Maria, both for her marriage and her boys. One night, as Maria and her boys walked along the path near the river, it is said she spotted her husband in a carriage with a younger, wealthier woman. He stopped the carriage to have a few words with the boys, ignoring Maria completely, before continuing down the road, and it was then Maria finally broke. In a blind rage, she grabbed her 2 boys and threw them into the river. When she came to her senses and realized what she had done, it was far too late. She searched for them, but to no avail, for they had already been carried downstream. She ran along the banks of the rivers, crying out for her boys, knowing all was lost, as her boys were gone and there was no reason for her husband to return now. Maria then threw herself in the river. The people of Maria's village found her the next morning and buried her in a long white funeral gown. On that very night, La Llorona's sorrowful wails began. Down by the river, people began to see a woman in a long white dress, calling out for her children. People believe that she was denied entrance to heaven without her boys, and now she is destined to walk the riverbanks in search of them forever. The mysterious vanishing of Catherine Hammondtree. Along with 6 other hikers, Catherine Hammondtree, aged 68, and her devoted dog Tootsie set off on a trip through the stunning scenery of Cañón del Diablo, often known as Devil's Canyon, on April 11, 2019. The canyon is located in Baja California, Mexico's Sierra de San Pedro Martir National Park, close to San Felipe. Kat, suffering from a recent foot injury, chose to take a break by a swimming pool as the others carried on. When they got back, she was gone. Frantic searching covered every square inch of the rough terrain, but they were unable to locate Kat or her dog's paw prints. All that was left was an unfathomable emptiness where she had disappeared. In the intense heat, how did a woman with 3 broken toes and her devoted dog vanish from sight? Every question was more menacing than the last as they lingered in the stifling canyon air. The Devil's Canyon's eerie quietness appeared to mock the searchers, with its winding paths and deep ravines keeping the truth of what had happened to this woman a secret. The area seemed to have engulfed her completely, leaving behind just the sound of her final footsteps, the discussions she had been having with the trekking group, and the icy, unwavering stare of the desert sun. The answer to the frightening riddle of what happened at the canyon is hidden deep in the depths of the Sierra de San Pedro Martir, and the mystery beckons with an eerie stillness. Although Kat Hammondtree spent almost 20 years living in Mexico, she was born in Seattle, Washington. Kat's daughter, Desiree Blair, characterized her mother as a tough individual who was an experienced hiker and local knowledge, despite the fact that Kat had chemotherapy for liver cancer in 2018 and that the treatments had left her frail. Her husband, Warren Sundquist, and she had been married for a year on the day she vanished. A few days prior to the climb, Desiree claims she got into an argument with Warren that led to their breakup. Kat was furious and transferred her possessions back to her townhouse. She didn't want things to end the way they had, so they talked on the phone for the next day or two and made the decision to be back together. The reasons for the split were a little strange. Kat had fallen asleep at a neighbor's house. She hadn't left a message to let Warren know where she was. Warren told her to move out for unclear reasons after feeling insulted and irritated. Desiree questioned this and said that she believes there was more to the story, and questioned why her mum left and went to the neighbors in the first place. One of the 2 trucks was not operating well, so when Kat and Warren arrived at the canyon, Warren and Dave, the spouse of another hiker named Nicole, made the decision to stay behind with the cars. Kat and her dog Tootsie headed for the first set of pools on the trail, with the intention of reaching the waterfall at the top. Given that Kat was hiking alone and that the day was supposed to be their anniversary, there was some tension between her and Warren. It would have been expected that Kat and Warren would spend their special day together after splitting up and getting back together, but Warren insisted on staying in the Jeep for reasons that were unclear. About 10 minutes into the walk near one of the area's stunning pools of water, she informed the 6 other people in her company that she needed to take a break. The cause of her poor gait was a past foot injury. One of San Felipe's lesser-known tourist destinations could be the Devil's Canyon, and this is hardly shocking considering that there is no cell phone service and the terrain is difficult for cars to access. Picacho del Diablo, the highest peak in Baja at over 10,000 feet, is the base of the breathtaking canyon. However, there is some risk in the area. Travelers should exercise caution due to extreme heat and other issues. Because of the high rate of crime in Baja California, the United States recommends Americans to exercise extreme caution when visiting the state. A Washington Post story claims that there are currently over 500 Americans missing in Mexico. Kat wrote in a blog post on April 5, 2019, that she broke 2 toes on her right foot and then said that a man pulling an ice chest full of beer rolled over her left foot. She promised the other hikers that she would wait for them when they got back from the quick, around 90-minute climb to the waterfall. To let her dog, Tootsie, to frolic in the water and cool off, she sat down at the pool's edge. After Kat interacted with a hiker named Nicole, the party carried on towards the waterfall. Kat would not be seen again after this interaction. The fact that Kat chose to remain behind by herself didn't seem to bother the group. However, it raises the question of why they would abandon Kat there. Never split up with someone in the desert, be it in Mexico or any other desert locale. About 90 minutes later, when the group made their way back, Kat and her dog were nowhere to be seen, and they reasoned that she had to have gone back to her husband Warren Sundquist, who was waiting at the trailhead in a jeep. Warren hadn't seen her, and when he returned to the parking lot to be sure, she wasn't there either. According to reports, Kat wasn't experiencing any severe physical discomfort from the 90-degree heat, and her prior history of cancer and foot injuries meant that she was in bad health and could not have ventured far from her last known whereabouts. Local search and rescue teams, as well as Mexican military helicopters, scanned the area starting on April 12th after the hikers reported Kat missing. Regretfully, no trace of Kat was located. There were 5 search and rescue dogs, volunteers, Mexicali civil protection officers, the army, the fire department, and the Red Cross involved. It was a very windy day when the cadaver dogs were brought to the canyon and its environs, and they were unable to detect Kat's scent. 34 kilometers northwest of San Felipe, Mexican law enforcement officers conducted a search and destroyed 2 marijuana plants. Though they were questioned, it's not clear if the authorities think the trekking group had anything to do with her disappearance. Just 4 days after Kat disappeared, on Monday, April 15, 2019, State Civil Protection Chief Antonio Rosquillas declared the search was being cancelled. At that moment, the State Attorney General's office was given jurisdiction over the matter. State Civil Protection Chief Antonio Rosquillas said that they put the search on hold. They covered and searched a 5-kilometer radius around the location where she was last seen, but they were unable to locate her. Warren, Kat's spouse, remained at the trailhead parking lot the night she vanished, while the others proceeded to town to alert the Red Cross and other organizations that someone was missing in the canyon. Warren was a little older than Kat, so perhaps he had fallen asleep in his jeep that night after drinking all day. However, it was odd that he wasn't actively participating in the hunt right away following the disappearance. The search had already been called off when Desiree, Kat's daughter, arrived in San Felipe to help, and after Warren and his team returned from their investigation, he showed her an image of a stick cross he had constructed to erect at the trail as a monument. She was troubled that after only a little absence, her husband was already declaring her deceased. However, Warren did participate in the unauthorized search after the authorities cancelled it. He went in search of Kat multiple times with a group of friends and volunteers. Warren checked a nearby cow ranch and the region between the ranch and the canyon, which seemed too far for Kat to cross, and informed the ranchers that his dog and wife had vanished. Sadly, they claimed not to have seen her or her dog. Additionally, the party travelled to a spot close to the marijuana field and made an effort to talk to a few aloof and impolite Haitian men. They objected to being questioned and did not want to respond to any inquiries. It appeared highly dubious. However, the police had been there and had looked through the property in vain. Kevin, one of the other hikers, dispatched his drone, which had a short battery life, up and around the region to check for Kat's presence. It was difficult to see much in many places since the undergrowth and plant life were more mature than usual, due to the mountains having received a bit more rain that season. It would be hard to see Kat if she'd taken cover or curled up under a bush. Her clothes were not appropriate for the desert, which didn't help. She was wearing her K-Swiss tennis shoes, khaki-coloured shorts, and a whitish tank top. Her hair has lately been dyed ruby red as a result of her support for breast cancer charities. Still, despite her red hair, the drone discovered nothing. Desiree stayed in contact with Warren after she had to leave San Felipe in order to return to her children. Warren would follow up with the Baja California State Attorney General to inquire about any developments, but none were provided. After a fortnight or two, Warren ceased to inquire. They assured him that they would notify him if anything came up. After the search was cancelled and the matter was given to the State Attorney General's office, it was essentially forgotten about at that point until family members continued to bug them about it. It didn't help that detectives were only assigned to cases for a few months before switching to other ones. The primary English-speaking contact was contacted, but they never received a response. Family members were not proactively approached. Desiree said that during this ordeal, she felt like she was alone and wanted so much more, but was unable to accomplish anything because of how far away she lived. After she put the posters up around the city, nothing came of it. She also encountered an attempt at extortion where she received texts claiming that someone was holding her mother and asking for money to bring her back. The shock of realizing who was contacting her falsehoods, followed by the first surge of optimism that she was still alive, was a terrible feeling. The only other person who had her new mobile number, aside from Warren, turned out to be a con artist who, she assumed, had deceived Nicole's mother 2 years earlier for a few $1,000s. Warren was informed about it, and she instructed him to give the police the texts that she had saved. She's not sure, but she doubts he ever did. He informed her that he was aware of the man and that he had gone to his house with a few other people to confront him about messaging me. The man was never detained or even asked any questions. Additionally, when she attempted to bring it to the FBI, they advised her to file a missing persons report, even though it was outside of their purview because the man was in Mexico. In any case, extortion is prohibited in both the United States and Mexico, and she said that this made her feel somewhat agitated. Since her last sighting, Kat and her dog Tootsie haven't been seen. Not a single fragment of evidence has turned up close to the scene of her disappearance. The mysterious disappearances of Marlon Robb. In the vast and remote southwestern region of Utah lies the small city of Paragona, nestled just 20 miles away from the renowned Bryce and Zion National Parks. This picturesque area, situated 40 miles north of the Arizona border, became the backdrop for a perplexing incident that unfolded back on the 5th of June in 1926. Marlon Robb, a 17-year-old sheepherder, vanished under mysterious circumstances, leaving a trail of unanswered questions and bewildered searchers in his wake. The Robb family, known for their local involvement in sheepherding, entrusted Marlon and his brother with the task of tending to a small flock each. According to the family, for some unknown reason, many of their sheep had been disappearing. This would prompt the brothers to make several attempts to figure out who or what was responsible for the sheep disappearances, as there were no signs of attacks and the culprit left behind next to no evidence of their involvement. A few moments before his eventual disappearance, Marlon would inform his brother that he had spotted a large beast somewhere in the distance and set off to eliminate the threat. Little did they know that this would be the last time Marlon was seen alive. An article from June 8, 1926, published in the Billings Gazette, bore the headline, "Hounds to Seek Youth, Likely Taken by Beast." When Marlon failed to return, his concerned brother ventured out to search for him. He stumbled upon Marlon's horse, its saddle stained with blood, and discovered Marlon's hat resting on the saddle horn. The brother continued his search and found a spot where he believed Marlon had sat, with more blood and Marlon's loaded rifle nearby. Despite his relentless efforts, he was unable to locate Marlon and returned back to his family to help seek assistance. Luckily, the Robb family held some local political influence, as Utah Governor George Dern heard of the incident and helped to dispatch a team of special bloodhounds to aid in the search for 17-year-old Marlon Robb. Teams retraced Marlon's brother's steps, discovering Marlon's knife and fragments of his clothing drenched in blood in a different area. There were 2 distinct sites where it appeared Marlon had rested. Intriguingly, the rifle found that had belonged to Marlon was still loaded and had not been fired. An article from the Salt Lake Tribune, also dated June 8, 1926, shed light on the perplexing behavior of the bloodhounds at the scene. Bloodhounds were put on the scent, but the animals appeared to be bewildered and could not follow the scent. Hundreds of men have joined in the hunt and covered every foot of the ground in Cottonwood Canyon for a radius of 25 miles, with no trace of the missing boy other than his knife and gun and the clots of blood where they were found. For weeks, the search for Marlon persisted, with over 1,000 search and rescue volunteers from all across the state participating in the intensive effort. Bloodhounds from different regions, experienced woodsmen and fellow sheepherders joined the search, yet Marlon remained elusive. Unfortunately, after nearly 3 weeks, the search was ultimately called off, leaving his fate unresolved. It would not be until late October, back in 1933, 7 years after Marlon's disappearance, that an unexpected discovery would shed some light on the case. While deer hunting in an area roughly 6 miles from the 1926 Robb sheepherding camp, a man by the name of Archie Lamoureux stumbled upon fragments of clothing, pieces of shoes, and a partial skeleton. The remains were turned over to the sheriff, who confirmed their identity as Marlon's. However, details regarding the terrain where the body was found and the condition of the remains, as well as the cause of his passing, were never disclosed. This entire event is marred by conflicting information, adding to the mystery surrounding Marlon's disappearance. Some articles mention that Marlon vanished 20 miles northwest of Paragona, while others claim southwest. Cottonwood Canyon, a location of significance. Furthermore, the inconsistencies extend to the spelling of Marlon's name, with some sources using Marlon and others Marion. One striking aspect of the case is the peculiar behavior of the bloodhounds, which inexplicably refused to track Marlon's scent. In numerous instances, unusual canine behavior emerges as a significant factor in disappearances. While some might argue that a predator, such as a cougar or bear, might have been responsible, the circumstances surrounding Marlon's disappearance raise doubts. Marlon managed to reach 2 different resting spots, and his rifle remained loaded. It seems unlikely that a predator would choose to confront a formidable human target when more vulnerable prey, such as sheep, were all throughout the area. Another perplexing element is the apparent absence of tracks. Skilled trackers, especially in wooded areas, typically excel at finding traces left by individuals. Speculation arose in news articles suggesting that sheep or other animals might have obliterated the tracks, but this seems highly unlikely. The inclusion of such a statement indicates the bafflement experienced by the trackers on the scene, and almost insinuates that trackers felt as if Marlon was somehow lifted out of the area. Tragically, Marlon's disappearance had lasting repercussions for his family. A year after his vanishing, his father succumbed to extreme heartbreak and passed away from heart strain, undoubtedly caused by the pain of missing his beloved son. The entire sequence of events surrounding Marlon Robb's disappearance leaves an unexplainable mystery. The vanishing tracks, the confounding behavior of the bloodhounds, and the elusive nature of the beast mentioned in news articles continue to shroud the case in an aura of puzzling fog. While theories may abound, the ultimate truth behind Marlon's fate remains concealed, locked within the untamed wilderness that witnessed his mysterious disappearance. Mysterious photos captivate our attention for several compelling reasons, drawing us into a world of intrigue, curiosity, and the unknown. Mysterious photos often depict scenes or phenomena that defy explanation or challenge our understanding of the world. They evoke a sense of wonder and ignite our imagination as we ponder the possibilities behind the mysterious elements captured in the image. Whether it's an unusual creature, an unidentified object, or a bizarre occurrence, these photos invite us to speculate and envision alternative realities beyond our everyday experiences. Eric Hecker, a former contractor for Raytheon who spent a year at the South Pole, has recently provided a compelling testimonial. He disclosed astounding details regarding a covert space program being carried out in Antarctica. Hecker's unparalleled experience and privileged access to cutting-edge technology at the South Pole Station have granted him invaluable insights that he deems imperative to be disseminated globally. Based in Arlington, Virginia, Raytheon Technologies Corporation is a worldwide aerospace and defense company founded in the United States. By both sales and market capitalization, it is among the top aerospace and defense manufacturers globally. Additionally, It is a major provider of intelligence services. Hecker introduced himself and his work at the South Pole Station as a craftsman and firefighter before starting his testimony. He stressed that the technology at that location, specifically the ice cube neutrino detector, has additional objectives that are not publicly acknowledged. In 2010, he claims to have been chosen to travel to the South Pole Station in Antarctica. He spent a full year there as an employee of Raytheon Polar Services, a third-party contractor for the National Science Foundation. The paperwork he showed revealed the presence of 5,150 embedded digital optical modules in the ice, each capable of transmitting at a voltage of over 2,000 volts. This discovery implies that the neutrino detector has advanced powers that go beyond simply listening and can successfully operate as a versatile directed energy weapons platform. The size and power of the device indicated its potential for employing deep space quantum communications with spacecraft voyaging throughout our solar system and beyond. In an interview with Dr. Michal Sala, Hecker disclosed that each digital optical module has the capability to transmit at 2047 volts, establishing it as the most extensive phased array transmitter in the world. Upon making this finding, Eric said that he conducted a study and established contact with other researchers within this area, as it corresponds with the ideas they had put forward concerning directed weaponry and communication equipment designed for spacecraft traveling at speeds exceeding that of light. In his opinion, this detector functions as the communication apparatus for intergalactic communication. Dr. Sala says in the interview that he is fascinated by communication and that the time delay in standard electromagnetic transmission can make it ineffective for long-distance spacecraft connection. He inquires of Hecker whether he is implying that the ice cube neutrino detector has the potential to be utilized for quantum communication. Eric Hecker asserts that his extensive research and documentation indicate a strong inclination towards quantum communication. He highlights that he offers the corroborating evidence on his website to validate these discoveries. Hecker additionally emphasizes that his objective is to present the facts and provide evidence for the worries that others have already expressed. Having personally observed the facility, he asserts that there is an ongoing occurrence and he intends to increase awareness and offer a means to reveal the truth. Hecker went on to describe the many roles played by the South Pole Station, saying that it controls air traffic for off-world ships, such as alien and man-made vehicles that release neutrinos. In addition, he asserted that the facility facilitates superluminal communications, a vital component for interstellar travel. The speaker mentioned Gary McKinnon's previous unauthorized access to NASA's systems, where he discovered evidence of a fleet located outside of Earth. Additionally, the speaker said that the South Pole Station plays a crucial role in enabling contact with this fleet. In his ongoing testimony, Hecker revealed a troubling element of the South Pole Station. He claimed that during 2010 and 2011, seismic activity coincided with the initial activation of the ice cube neutrino detector, suggesting its capacity to trigger earthquakes. In addition, he asserted that the South Pole Station accommodates the ELF, extremely low-frequency system, which was previously thought to be inactive but was subsequently found to be fully functional. He proposed that this mechanism, in addition to other technology, is utilized for malicious intentions. Hecker explored an additional captivating feature of the South Pole Station, specifically the Atmospheric Research Observatory situated in the clean air area. The individual asserted that they had observed a potent emerald laser originating from this establishment, postulating that it may serve the purpose of long-distance communication or act as a means of protection. In addition, he expressed apprehensions regarding the power provision at the South Pole Station, highlighting the energy requirements of the sophisticated equipment he observed above what was officially acknowledged. He proposed the existence of either a concealed nuclear power source that existed before the Antarctic Treaty or an undiscovered advanced power system. Eric Hecker's concise testimony revealed the existence of a covert space program being conducted at the South Pole Station in Antarctica. Based on his assertions and supporting documents, it appears that the ice cube neutrino detector has capabilities that go beyond its claimed scientific goals. These capabilities include operating as a directed energy weapons platform, an air traffic control station, and a facility for faster-than-light communications. Hecker expressed worries over the seismic activity that the detector could potentially generate, and the existence of a functioning extremely low-frequency system. In addition, he raised concerns about the power supply systems at the facility. This isn't the first time that an earthquake machine has been mentioned. One of the most peculiar reports that surround the inventor Nikola Tesla is that of his oscillating machine that is believed to be able to cause mini-earthquakes within his vicinity that become increasingly more powerful as the machine is left on for a prolonged period of time. Though many claim that the reports are nothing more than exaggerated accounts, the original event was recorded by a reporter back in 1912 after interviewing Tesla, of whom gave a detailed account of his first attempt of testing the machine in practical terms. According to the inventor himself, he brought a small version of his oscillating device, no larger than an alarm clock, and attached it to the steel framework of a building still undergoing construction. After adjusting the oscillator, the building started to tremble, and the steel workers all across the structure quickly came down believing that an earthquake had just occurred. The police had been called shortly after, as an investigation quickly began, causing Tesla to quickly retrieve his device and leaving shortly after. Although many now believe that the story was made up by Nikola Tesla for nothing more than additional media attention, others disagree given the fact that, theoretically, if an oscillating device could match the resonance frequency of an object, it could begin to cause it to vibrate and tear apart similar to that of a violin shattering a crystal glass. The mysteries of Bouvet Island. Bouvet Island, a remote speck in the vast South Atlantic Ocean, is one of the most isolated places on Earth. Officially a dependency of Norway, this desolate island is often shrouded in mist and mystery, earning its reputation as a land of unanswered questions. The mysteries surrounding Bouvet Island are as compelling as they are perplexing, from unexplained shipwrecks to strange geological phenomena. One of the most enduring mysteries of Bouvet Island is the presence of an abandoned lifeboat discovered in 1964. During a routine expedition by a South African survey team, the lifeboat was found on the island's rocky shore. Strangely, there were no signs of recent human activity or habitation, and no records of any shipwrecks or missing vessels in the vicinity. Regrettably, the shore party had an insufficient amount of time to further study their unusual finding. They spent a brief period of time on Bouvet, around 45 minutes, as reported by Crawford. During this time, the men had to perform a reconnaissance of the platform, gather rock samples, and defend themselves against hostile male sea elephants that were displeased by their presence. There was insufficient time to thoroughly investigate the Neurosa or search for additional indications of life. Considering those limitations, it is highly improbable that the brief search stated by Crawford involved much more than simply walking a short distance from the lagoon in either direction and looking for the most conspicuous indications of bodies or human presence. Furthermore, it seems that none of the future visitors to the island pursued the investigation. Interestingly, the mysterious boat is not mentioned again. However, Bouvet Island was revisited in 1966 by a team doing a biological survey who devoted significant attention to the lagoon. This group determined that the body of water was shallow, had a high concentration of algae, had an alkaline pH due to seal waste, and was supplied with water from the melting ice on the nearby cliffs. However, they made no note of the presence of the lifeboat, assuming it was indeed still there. Alan Crawford appears to be the only person who has shown the least amount of interest in solving the mystery. There was no existing newspaper coverage of the incident at the time, and many who have researched this case have been unable to discover any additional information about the boat or the objects discovered on the coast. There are a few further recent tales of the landing, and oddly enough, no one has inquired about the origin of the boat or made any effort to locate its crew. It seems evident that the boat must have reached Bouvet Island at some time during the 9-year period between January 1955, when the rock-strewn ice-free area was not present, and April 1964, when it was. The time frame is rather limited, and if the whaler was indeed a lifeboat, it should be feasible to determine its origin ship. Furthermore, the beach party of the Protector observed no indication of a camp or shelter, fire or provisions. Furthermore, the existence of a substantial vessel in a lagoon, situated at a minimum distance of 30 yards from the coastline, implies that it either arrived to the island with a complete crew capable of manually dragging it across challenging terrain, or it was deliberately placed there by a smaller party with intentions of remaining on the island for an extended period. However, Except for that, everything else is mere conjecture. And what makes this highly unusual event even more peculiar is that the few pieces of information we possess do not entirely corroborate any of the apparent hypotheses. Undoubtedly, this would be the most striking and amorous interpretation, elucidating certain observations made by Crawford. The presence of the whaler in the lagoon. It was placed there by individuals lacking the means to fasten it securely on land and uncertain if they would require it again, and the proximity of a small assortment of equipment. It is unclear why Crawford's copper flotation or buoyancy tank was flattened, but it seems like the kind of action that a group of desperate men with little resources might take. The lifeboat scenario provides the most plausible explanation for the existence of only one pair of oars on the shore. It is possible that there were initially more oars, but they were lost overboard during a disastrous journey. Despite thorough investigation and multiple voyages to Bouvet Island following the discovery of the lifeboat, the mystery remains unresolved. The island's inclement weather conditions and remote location persistently impede comprehensive investigations, resulting in numerous unresolved inquiries. Who were the individuals present in the lifeboat? What factors precipitated their arrival on this secluded and barren island? And what was their ultimate fate? The forsaken lifeboat on Bouvet Island serves as a representation of the persistent mystery of the ocean and the innate human inclination to venture into and comprehend the unfamiliar. It demonstrates the uncertain and dangerous nature of sea expeditions and the extensive unexplored areas that remain on our planet. With the progress of technology and ongoing research, it is possible that future expeditions will discover additional evidence that may provide insight into this mysterious maritime puzzle. Man claims he found hundreds of monolith-like objects in Antarctica. In the age of digital exploration, tools like Google Earth have opened up the world to anyone with an internet connection. The ability to virtually traverse the globe and scrutinize the most remote corners of our planet has led to some astonishing discoveries. One such claim comes from a man who, while using Google Earth, reported finding hundreds of black monoliths scattered across the icy expanse of Antarctica. This extraordinary claim has sparked widespread interest and debate, raising questions about the nature and origin of these mysterious structures. The story begins with Mr. Davis, an amateur researcher and avid user of Google Earth, who often spends his free time exploring remote regions of the globe through satellite imagery. In early 2024, Davis claimed to have stumbled upon a series of black monoliths in Antarctica. According to his detailed observations, these monoliths appeared in various locations across the continent, sometimes standing alone and other times in clusters. The monoliths, as seen from satellite images, were uniformly dark and rectangular, reminiscent of the monoliths famously depicted in Stanley Kubrick's film. Davis's discovery was quickly posted to various online groups that investigate mysterious anomalies in Antarctica, captivating the imaginations of amateur researchers, ufologists, and curious minds worldwide, who all said that this photograph is evidence that something strange is happening down in Antarctica. The idea of mysterious black monoliths in Antarctica conjured images of ancient civilizations, extraterrestrial artifacts, and hidden secrets waiting to be uncovered beneath the ice. Social media platforms buzzed with speculation, with theories ranging from remnants of an advanced prehistoric civilization to markers left by extraterrestrial visitors. Firstly, the resolution of satellite images available on Google Earth can be limited, often resulting in pixelation and artifacts that may create the illusion of structures that do not exist. High-resolution satellite imagery and ground truthing are essential for verifying such claims. Without these tools, it is challenging to conclusively determine whether the monoliths are real objects or simply anomalies in the data. Secondly, the harsh and dynamic environment of Antarctica poses significant challenges for the preservation of any structures. The continent is subject to extreme weather conditions, including powerful winds, sub-zero temperatures, and shifting ice. These factors make it unlikely for any standing structures, particularly those made of conventional materials, to remain intact for long periods. If the monoliths were indeed real, their material composition and resilience would be subjects of intense scientific interest. Despite these challenges, the possibility of the monoliths being real cannot be entirely dismissed without further investigation. Antarctica has long been a place of mystery and intrigue, with many aspects of its geography and history still shrouded in uncertainty. The discovery of ancient microbial life in subglacial lakes and the existence of large, unexplored cave systems beneath the ice suggest that the continent holds many secrets yet to be revealed. If the monoliths were found to be genuine, the implications would be profound. They could potentially rewrite our understanding of human history, geology, or even our place in the universe. The discovery of ancient structures in Antarctica could indicate a previously unknown chapter of human or pre-human civilization, suggesting that the continent was once habitable and inhabited. Alternatively, if the monoliths were of non-terrestrial origin, it would revolutionize our understanding of extraterrestrial life and contact. In either scenario, the discovery would prompt a re-evaluation of Antarctica's role in global history and prehistory. It would likely lead to increased international interest and collaboration in Antarctic research, fostering new scientific and exploratory missions to uncover the continent's hidden mysteries. On a serene afternoon in the charming hamlet of La Aurora, situated in the midst of Argentina's scenic beauty, a keen amateur photographer and nature lover sought to immortalize the exquisite landscapes through his camera lens. With an ardent passion for photography and a deep appreciation for nature, he embarked on a quest to encapsulate the allure of his surroundings. Embarking on his photographic expedition, equipped with his reliable camera, he set out towards the adjacent hills, with the aspiration of seizing the ideal moment of the town embraced by a spectacular sky. La Aurora was renowned for its dynamic and vivid array of colors, flourishing natural scenery and striking cloud formations, which contributed to its captivating and picturesque landscape. The individual has perpetually felt a strong attraction towards the expanse of the sky. He expresses his fondness for capturing the dynamic and constantly evolving clouds, finding joy in observing their perpetual transformation as they shift and transition into various formations and hues. While taking photographs, he observed an unusual cloud pattern. Upon returning home, he carefully examined the images and discovered something out of the ordinary. The gentleman expressed that the sight before him was unparalleled in his entire experience. It was truly a phenomenon that defied any comparison he had encountered to date. Hovering high in the sky, among the billowing white clouds, an unusual saucer-shaped object remained discreetly concealed by the delicate, airy layers. Upon focusing intently on the anomaly, the man found himself unable to comprehend its nature. He reiterated his inability to discern anything unusual in the vicinity at the time of the sighting. His puzzlement persisted, leaving him perplexed and unable to fathom the enigma before him. The entity appeared to be suspended in the atmosphere, its visibility partially obscured by the enveloping clouds. The object displayed impeccable symmetry, presenting itself as a flawless and gleaming metallic disc that subtly reflected the sunlight, exuding a captivating allure in its entirety. The man sent the images to various news outlets that investigate mysterious phenomena and questioned whether they could help him identify what it was. He said that the object didn't just appear in one photo, but several, and quickly realized that he might have documented something extraordinary. In his quest for knowledge about UFO sightings in Argentina, he extensively explored online sources and was amazed by the abundance of reported incidents in the region. As he delved deeper into the subject, he was taken aback by the sheer volume of documented sightings and encounters. Numerous individuals recounted experiences akin to his, enigmatic entities hanging motionless in the sky during daylight hours. Opting to be an active participant in the expansion of knowledge on unexplained phenomena, he made the decision to generously share his collection of photographs with UFO researchers and enthusiasts. His aim was to augment the substantial body of evidence connected to these enigmatic occurrences. He sent his images to various organizations dedicated to UFO research, including the Center for the Study of Aerospace Phenomena in Argentina, known for its systematic approach to investigating such sightings. He has mentioned that the reaction has been incredibly positive so far. Despite the lack of explanations for the photograph, he is optimistic that it will encourage others to share their own experiences. This positive response has been notable from the beginning, and while the photograph remains unexplained, he is hopeful that it will serve as a catalyst for others to come forward with their own encounters. As many have pointed out who study this phenomena, Argentina, which is renowned for its expansive terrains and vast open skies, has been a focal point for UFO sightings for numerous years. This phenomenon has captivated the interest of aficionados, doubters, and researchers alike. Despite the contentious and dubious nature of UFO sightings, there exists a substantial array of evidence implying that an authentically inexplicable occurrence is transpiring within the skies of Argentina. Numerous accounts and documented instances bolster the overarching notion that there is indeed a phenomenon that warrants further investigation, delving into the depths of Argentina's atmosphere. UFO sightings have a long-standing history in Argentina, dating back to the mid-20th century. Notably, in 1962, a group of electrical technicians had a significant encounter when they witnessed an unusual object adorned with bright lights hovering above them in close proximity to the small town of La Plata. Prompted by this striking event, the technicians promptly reported their sighting to the authorities, consequently igniting widespread interest in the realm of UFO research within Argentina. This led to an upsurge in comprehensive investigations and inquiries into the phenomenon across the country, underscoring the enduring fascination and curiosity surrounding UFO encounters in Argentina. During the 1960s and 1970s, there was a significant surge in reported sightings of unidentified flying objects in Argentina. These sightings were not confined to a specific group, but were reported by a diverse range of individuals, including ordinary citizens, pilots, and military personnel. Subsequently, both local and international UFO research organizations diligently documented and scrutinized these encounters. The substantial number of credible witnesses, as well as photographic evidence, contributed significantly to solidifying Argentina's standing as a renowned UFO hotspot. Argentina's administration has demonstrated a proactive stance in delving into UFO phenomena. The formation of the Commission for the Study of Aerospace Phenomena by the Argentinian Air Force in 2011 served as a pivotal moment, indicating the government's commitment to investigating UFO sightings within the nation. This official initiative not only signifies the country's acknowledgement of the existence of UFOs, but also reflects a significant stride in embracing the reality of these unexplained aerial occurrences. The Commission for the Study of Aerospace Phenomena has methodically and scientifically approached its inquiries, partnering with specialists across diverse disciplines such as astronomy, meteorology, and physics. They have meticulously gathered and examined data, interviewed witnesses, and scrutinized photographic and video evidence in their pursuit of thorough investigation. Numerous noteworthy UFO encounters in Argentina present convincing evidence of authentic sightings, establishing the credibility of these occurrences. In the beautiful city of Bariloche, a team of hikers had a surreal encounter when they spotted a sizable disc-shaped metallic craft hovering over the Andes Mountains. The unusual object emitted a gentle humming sound and exhibited unpredictable movements before vanishing into the sky. The witnesses were deeply impacted by their extraordinary experience, considering it to be a significant and transformative event that left an indelible impression on their lives. In the region of Salta, locals documented a sequence of radiant spherical objects lingering in the nighttime atmosphere. These orbs displayed remarkable movements, including abrupt accelerations and alterations in trajectory, which surpassed the capabilities of standard aircraft. Video recordings of these occurrences were scrutinized by specialists, yet they were unable to furnish a conventional rationale for the phenomenon, prompting a lack of a definitive explanation. The sightings have raised questions and intrigued the community, compelling a heightened interest in uncovering the nature of these enigmatic celestial events. The phenomenon of UFO sightings in Argentina has not only piqued the interest of scientists, but has also ingrained itself as a significant aspect of the country's cultural tapestry. Argentina is a host to a multitude of UFO conferences, serving as congregational hubs for enthusiasts, experts, and witnesses to engage in collective dialogues and exchange their encounters. These gatherings not only cultivate a sense of belonging within the community, but also furnish an invaluable platform for the advancement of ongoing research and probing into these perplexing occurrences. UFO sightings over Argentina have sparked genuine intrigue and fascination, warranting thorough investigation and contemplation. Despite the persistence of skepticism and traditional interpretations, an increasing accumulation of evidence substantiates the notion that there are inexplicable occurrences taking place in the skies of the country. The formation of government-led institutions like Commission for the Study of Aerospace Phenomena and the collaboration with global specialists signify a dedicated effort to comprehensively and scientifically examine these phenomena. This commitment underscores a genuine in-depth exploration of these unexplained events, striving to enrich our understanding of the enigmatic sightings. In 2016, an intriguing incident unfolded when Buzz Aldrin, the renowned astronaut, shared a cryptic message on Twitter. The tweet, which read, "We are all in danger. It is evil itself," was accompanied by a photo depicting a pyramid situated in Antarctica. Shortly after posting this strange message, Aldrin promptly removed it from his account. Despite the swift deletion, numerous individuals across the globe managed to capture screenshots of this peculiar post, sparking widespread curiosity and speculation about what he was referring to. As of this moment, there has been a considerable amount of skepticism surrounding the authenticity of the tweet. Some individuals recall encountering the tweet shortly before its removal, hinting at its existence, whereas others firmly assert that it never actually got posted. The ongoing debate has sparked intrigue and divided opinions among those who have engaged with the content. Exploring this further reveals a nuanced narrative where conflicting perspectives emerge, leading to a deeper analysis of the tweet. One individual expressed a concern regarding the absence of the date in the provided screenshot, leading to widespread skepticism about its authenticity. This issue has raised doubts among many individuals about the veracity of the information being presented. Interestingly, there has been considerable debate surrounding the identification of a pyramid-like structure in the photograph, prompting a divergence in opinions among researchers and enthusiasts. While some individuals have questioned the accuracy of the depiction, a separate faction of investigators has actively proposed alternative interpretations to shed light on the mysterious image. The concept of pyramids in Antarctica emerged prominently during the early 1900s as adventurers and scientists documented sightings of peculiar structures and shapes emerging from the icy expanse. These accounts, intertwined with the enduring allure surrounding ancient cultures and vanished lands, sparked discussions regarding the potential existence of concealed pyramids concealed beneath the Antarctic ice. Delving deeper into this topic reveals a multifaceted exploration that includes theories about potential connections to ancient civilizations, speculation on the purpose of these structures, and the scientific implications of such discoveries. American researcher and writer Richard E. Byrd stands out as a key advocate of the Antarctic pyramid theory, renowned for his multiple expeditions to Antarctica during the period spanning the 1930s and 1940s. Byrd extensively documented his observations of enigmatic structures and precise geometric arrangements while conducting aerial surveys across the icy terrain, alluding to the existence of ancient pyramids concealed beneath the vast layers of ice in the region. His accounts have fueled ongoing debates and speculation regarding the potential archaeological significance of these purported hidden structures amidst the icy expanses of Antarctica, contributing to a deeper exploration and contemplation of the mysteries that lie beneath the continent's frozen landscape. In the subsequent years, a growing number of accounts and observations regarding purported pyramids in Antarctica came to light, sparking increased curiosity and conjecture surrounding this strange topic. Various scholars and individuals subscribing to the unknown highlighted the use of satellite imagery and remote sensing data as compelling proof of concealed pyramidal structures lying beneath the Antarctic ice cap. They referenced peculiar characteristics and geometric configurations that bore a resemblance to man-made edifices, igniting debates and discussions within the scientific community and beyond. This ongoing interest in the purported Antarctic pyramids reflects a complex interplay of scientific inquiry, speculation, and the enduring allure of mysteries shrouded in the icy realms of the southernmost continent. Skeptics and conventional scientists have cast doubts and posed queries regarding the credibility of the theory proposing the existence of pyramids in Antarctica. They point out the dearth of substantial evidence and the harsh environmental conditions of the region as major impediments to further investigation and confirmation. Critics maintain that numerous reports of pyramid sightings might actually be ascribed to natural geological formations, particularly nunataks, which are solitary rocky peaks emerging through the ice, rather than structures built by humans. These skeptics and experts from mainstream science communities are cautious in embracing the idea due to the absence of decisive proof. Despite encountering numerous obstacles, A group of dedicated researchers and adventurers refuse to be discouraged in their pursuit of unveiling the mysteries surrounding the rumored pyramids in Antarctica. In recent times, numerous expeditions and investigative projects have been initiated to scrutinize and record peculiar characteristics and formations identified through satellite imagery and remote sensing data. These endeavors entail the utilization of advanced methodologies and cutting-edge technologies such as ground-penetrating radar, LiDAR, and drones to meticulously map and assess the Antarctic terrain in a quest for concealed revelations. The quest for answers regarding the mysterious pyramids of Antarctica continues unabated, fueled by a commitment to unravel the secrets shrouded within the icy landscapes of the southern continent. Antarctica, the vast and inhospitable frozen expanse at the southernmost tip of the Earth, has captured the imagination of explorers, scientists, and dreamers for centuries. Despite its harsh conditions and isolation, this mysterious continent continues to captivate human curiosity, inspiring countless expeditions and fueling a fascination that transcends the boundaries of geography. In the remote expanses of Antarctica, where icy winds howled and the landscape was as barren as it was beautiful, a team of scientists and workers had established a research station. Among them was Dr. Mitchell, a geologist whose fascination with Earth's mysteries had led him to this desolate but captivating land. Little did he know that his expedition would uncover a secret that would challenge his understanding of reality. The man submitted an interesting post on social media, detailing that his team made a strange discovery while carrying out their research. One morning, Dr. Mitchell was conducting a routine survey when he spotted something unusual in the distance. It was an object that stood in stark contrast to the snowy landscape. Approaching the site, he couldn't initially understand what it was. However, as he got closer, he described the object as a towering black structure that seemed to defy the very laws of nature. Initially, he thought it was a piece of rock that had fallen off one of the nearby mountains, but this wasn't the case. The monolith rose from the ground, its smooth surface devoid of any distinguishing features. The doctor said that it seemed to absorb the sunlight. As the team studied the structure, he couldn't help but wonder how it had come to rest in this remote corner of the world. The doctor said that he left his camera at the research station, so had to hike back to get it, and once he retrieved it, he took a photograph from one of the peaks overlooking the artifact, which also includes members of his team looking at the object. The doctor said that he is now retired and has been holding onto the photograph for several years. When the image was submitted, some believed that it was an advanced artifact, while others speculated it might be a geological anomaly with unique properties. As of right now, no more details have been revealed about the artifact or what happened to it. Some compared it to the monolith that was found in Utah. In November 2020, the barren landscape of the Utah desert became the unexpected stage for a modern-day enigma, a shiny metal monolith that seemed to materialize out of nowhere. Standing amidst the red rock formations, this mysterious structure captivated the world's attention, sparking speculation, intrigue, and a sense of wonder. As of today, the monolith's origins, along with the identity of its makers, is unknown. The monolith's sudden appearance, discovered by a group of wildlife officials conducting a helicopter survey, evoked a sense of awe. Standing around 10 to 12 feet tall, the triangular prism was constructed from a shiny, reflective metal, its surface untouched by visible seams or markings. Its stark contrast against the rugged Utah terrain created an almost surreal tableau. News of the monolith's discovery spread like wildfire across social media, drawing the attention of both casual observers and amateur sleuths. Photos, videos, and satellite imagery fueled a virtual investigation as the world collectively puzzled over the origin, purpose, and meaning of this enigmatic structure. Speculation about the monolith's origin ranged from artistic statements to advanced communication. Some believed it to be a guerrilla art installation, drawing parallels to the minimalist sculptures of the late artist John McCracken. Others couldn't shake the notion that it might be a harbinger of contact from beyond our world, a notion fueled by the monolith's seemingly out-of-place location. As the mystery deepened, Some theories proposed that the monolith could be a well-executed publicity stunt. In an era when viral content can garner global attention, the monolith's sudden appearance was not without precedent. Whether tied to a movie promotion, a marketing ploy, or simply a creative experiment in generating curiosity, the monolith had certainly succeeded in capturing the world's imagination. Just as quickly as it appeared, the monolith vanished from its Utah perch, leaving behind only a triangular depression in the soil. The monolith's allure extended beyond its physical presence in Utah, triggering a broader reflection on human curiosity and the enduring allure of the unknown. In a time when information is abundant and technology connects us instantaneously, the emergence of a genuine enigma reminds us of the power of mystery to spark collective fascination and inspire shared quests for answers. The monolith's symbolism extended beyond its material form. For some, it represented a metaphor for the human quest for discovery and exploration. Its emergence at a time when the world grappled with the challenges of a pandemic evoked notions of resilience, adaptability, and the unexpected ways in which the world can surprise and intrigue us. Ultimately, the Utah monolith's true significance lay in its ability to conjure wonder, the spark of curiosity that ignites our minds and beckons us to delve into the mysteries that surround us. The questions it prompted were not just about its origin, but about the very nature of exploration, perception, and the beauty of the inexplicable. As of right now, the monolith was given to the Bureau of Land Management and is currently in their custody. However, they have denied that the object is anything of interest and have denied access to it, refusing to elaborate on what the object is made of and where it came from. The concept of monoliths as cosmic messengers, left by advanced civilizations to initiate contact with Earth, captures the imagination and fascination of those intrigued by the mysteries of the universe. While this idea is speculative, exploring the theoretical ways in which monoliths could be employed as beacons of communication offers a glimpse into the creative ways advanced beings might attempt to reach out to humanity. Monoliths, with their imposing and enigmatic presence, possess a certain universal appeal. An advanced civilization might utilize monoliths as symbols of unity and connection, hoping to convey a message of peaceful coexistence and shared exploration of the cosmos. Placing monoliths in strategic locations on Earth could symbolize a desire for harmony among all sentient beings. Monoliths could be inscribed with intricate patterns, symbols or hieroglyphics that convey a complex message. Utilizing mathematical principles and universal languages, these engravings could carry encoded information about the civilization's history, culture, scientific achievements, and the fundamental principles of the cosmos. By deciphering these inscriptions, humanity could unlock a wealth of knowledge. An advanced civilization might strategically place monoliths on Earth to align with celestial events, such as solstices, equinoxes, or rare planetary alignments. These patterns could serve as temporal markers, indicating moments when they are actively reaching out or inviting humanity to observe the cosmos together. Such celestial choreography could emphasize their advanced understanding of cosmic phenomena. Monoliths could be designed to interact with sunlight or moonlight, creating intricate patterns of light and shadow over time. These dynamic displays could be interpreted as a form of communication, using the language of light to convey messages. By observing the changing patterns, humanity might decipher hidden meanings or receive insights into the advanced civilization's worldview. Monoliths could be constructed with precise dimensions and materials to resonate at specific frequencies. By emitting low-frequency vibrations or resonant tones, these monoliths could potentially communicate across vast distances through the medium of sound or even propagate vibrations through the Earth itself. This form of communication could transcend the limitations of conventional electromagnetic signals. If an advanced civilization has mastered the intricacies of quantum entanglement, they could use it as a means of communication with distant observers. Monoliths could be paired with corresponding entangled particles in space, allowing changes to one particle to be instantaneously reflected in the other. This instantaneous connection could be used to transmit messages in a form of quantum code. Monoliths might be strategically placed to harmonize with Earth's natural phenomena. Their alignment with ley lines, magnetic fields, or geological formations could create a subtle yet perceptible resonance that draws attention to their presence. This synchronization with Earth's inherent energy could signal a desire for harmonious interaction between the advanced civilization and our planet. Imagine monoliths that react to the presence of sentient beings, emitting light, sound, or energy when approached by conscious observers. These interactive environments could encourage a form of dialogue between humans and the advanced civilization, sparking curiosity, exploration, and the exchange of ideas. The monoliths could be placed in regions of Earth with historically significant or scientifically intriguing sites. By establishing a connection between these terrestrial locations and the monoliths, an advanced civilization could encourage humanity to delve into scientific inquiry, fostering a shared curiosity about the cosmos. The idea of advanced civilizations using monoliths to make contact with Earth bridges the gap between science fiction and the realm of possibility. While speculative, the concept ignites our imagination and reminds us of the boundless creativity inherent in the universe. Whether as symbols of unity, encoded messengers, celestial choreography, or harmonic resonators, monoliths hold the potential to serve as beacons of connection and understanding in a universe teeming with mysteries waiting to be unraveled. A passenger posted this mysterious photograph to the group UFOs Worldwide. The eyewitness, Miss Mitchell, said that she is a frequent traveler and amateur photographer. As the plane cruised, she took out her camera to capture the breathtaking view of the clouds and the endless sky. Eager to document the scenic beauty, she clicked several photos through the airplane window. Later, as she reviewed the images on her camera, one photograph stood out. Amidst the serene sky and clouds, there was a peculiar disc-shaped object. It was metallic, with a smooth, reflective surface, and appeared to hover effortlessly in the air. Surprised and intrigued, she immediately shared the image online, where it eventually ended up on groups that investigate unidentified objects. As with many of these images, it quickly sparked widespread interest and debate among those interested in the unknown, drawing attention from UFO enthusiasts. In recent years, there has been a notable uptick in the number of unidentified flying objects being photographed by passengers on commercial flights, and this phenomenon has piqued the interest of scientists, aviation experts, and the general public alike. With the ubiquity of smartphones and the ease of capturing high-resolution images, passengers are increasingly documenting these mysterious aerial occurrences. This woman's photograph is just the latest one that has been captured, and it's caused many to suggest that the increase in UFO sightings photographed from planes can be attributed to several factors, primarily technological advancements, increased public awareness, and the nature of air travel. The widespread availability of high-quality cameras on smartphones has empowered passengers to capture unexpected moments with ease. Modern smartphones come equipped with advanced camera systems that can capture detailed images even at high altitudes and speeds. The ease of sharing these images on social media platforms has further amplified the reach and visibility of such sightings, contributing to a growing body of visual evidence. Public interest in UFOs has surged in recent years, fueled by media coverage of high-profile sightings and government disclosures. For instance, the release of the US Navy's videos showing encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena has legitimized the discussion around UFOs, and this heightened awareness means that passengers are more vigilant and likely to document any unusual sightings during flights. Air travel offers a unique vantage point for observing the skies. At cruising altitudes, airplanes are well above the weather systems and atmospheric disturbances that often obscure the view from the ground. This clear view, combined with the vast expanses of sky visible from airplane windows, increases the likelihood of spotting and photographing unusual aerial phenomena. Several high-profile incidents of UFO sightings from planes have been reported and widely discussed. In February 2018, a pilot and passengers on a commercial flight over Phoenix, Arizona, witnessed a strange, elongated object flying at high speed. Multiple passengers captured photos and videos of the object, which was described as moving in a manner inconsistent with conventional aircraft. The sighting garnered significant media attention and sparked discussions about the nature of the object. In November 2020, a passenger on a flight from Dublin to New York captured images of a series of bright, fast-moving lights off the coast of Ireland. The lights appeared to move in a coordinated manner, prompting speculation about their origin. Aviation authorities and UFO researchers analyzed the footage, but no definitive explanation was provided, leaving the sighting shrouded in mystery. The increase in UFO sightings from planes has several implications for aviation safety, national security, and scientific inquiry. The presence of unidentified objects in controlled airspace poses potential risks to aviation safety. Pilots need to be aware of any unusual activity to avoid possible collisions. As more sightings are reported, aviation authorities may need to develop protocols for pilots to report and respond to UFO encounters systematically. The potential security implications of unidentified aerial phenomena cannot be overlooked. If some of these objects represent advanced technology from foreign adversaries, they could pose significant national security threats. Conversely, if they are of extraterrestrial origin, understanding their capabilities and intentions becomes paramount. Governments and defense agencies are increasingly taking these sightings seriously, as evidenced by the establishment of task forces and investigative bodies. The growing body of photographic evidence from airplane sightings provides valuable data for scientific analysis. Researchers can study these images to identify patterns, behaviors, and possible explanations for the phenomena. Collaborative efforts between civilian researchers, government agencies, and international bodies can enhance our understanding of these occurrences and potentially lead to groundbreaking discoveries. The documentation of UFOs from planes contributes to a larger, more comprehensive dataset that can be analyzed to uncover underlying patterns and trends. This, in turn, can help demystify the phenomena and foster a more informed public discourse. The increasing number of credible sightings, especially those documented from planes, lends greater legitimacy to the study of UFOs. As more people witness and share their experiences, the stigma associated with reporting UFO sightings diminishes. This shift in public perception encourages more open discussion and investigation, which is crucial for advancing our understanding. The availability of high-quality photographic evidence can attract more scientists to the field of UFO research. Interdisciplinary collaboration involving fields such as physics, engineering, and atmospheric science can lead to innovative approaches to studying these phenomena. Rigorous scientific investigation is essential for distinguishing between natural, man-made, and potentially extraterrestrial explanations. Many who have researched unidentified flying objects have reported the various shapes and forms, and these include the disc-shaped UFO, which is particularly prevalent. These sightings, often described as saucer-like or disc-like, have become almost iconic in the collective understanding of UFO phenomena. The image of the disc-shaped UFO entered popular consciousness in the mid-20th century, largely due to a series of high-profile sightings and subsequent media coverage. The most famous early sighting occurred in 1947, when pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing 9 shiny, disc-like objects flying at incredible speeds near Mount Rainier, Washington. Arnold's description of the objects as saucer-like quickly led to the term flying saucer becoming synonymous with UFOs. On June 24, 1947, just after 3 in the afternoon, Kenneth Arnold piloted his aircraft over Mineral, Washington. He had a business trip to Yakima, and he had made the small diversion because he knew there was a reward for finding the location of a downed United States Marine Corps cargo jet. However, this diversion would lead him to have one of the most famous UFO encounters, one that is still being talked about to this day. When he could find no trace of the aircraft, he started to veer back towards Mount Rainier, his original target. But as he was doing so, he noticed something shining in one of the plane's mirrors. He glanced rapidly around him, wondering if his calculations were off and he missed another jet that should have been nearby. But he was alone, except for another plane that was miles away. About a minute and a half later, he noticed many light flashes to his left. He promptly eliminated the possibility that the lights were a solar reflection, and that would leave one possible outcome: there must be solid things reflecting the light. They seemed to fly in tight formation and move fast, whatever they were. Believing he was seeing a US experimental aircraft, he scrutinized the items even more closely, but he soon ruled out the notion when he failed to discern a tail on the craft. The items had found their way to his location by now, flying quickly in front of his aircraft. Arnold would try to absorb as much information as he could as they went, Later on, Arnold would say that the craft seemed to have originated in the vicinity of Mount Baker. This is an intriguing point. Many reports of UFO encounters have been connected to different mountains all around the world. In fact, there are many stories and conspiracies around several of these mountains, like Mount Shasta in California and Brown Mountain in North Carolina, about possible hidden bases. The state of Washington, in the upper northwest region of the United States, is undoubtedly a hotspot for UFO activity, even if there was no such term or idea at the time. Just days before Arnold's sighting, the Maury Island incident occurred near Tacoma, Washington. 2 harbor patrolmen reported seeing multiple donut-shaped objects dropping metallic debris over Maury Island. Arnold would detail that the mysterious objects were crescent-shaped, without a tail but possessing wings. They seemed to be a beautiful metallic silver color, reflecting the late afternoon sun. Arnold would calculate their speed from the mountain summits, figuring they were traveling between 1,200 and 1,500 miles per hour, which was significantly quicker than any aircraft the US Air Force, or any Air Force for that matter, had at the time, and is equivalent to a modern-day F-22 Raptor. Arnold would make his scheduled landing in Yakima, Washington at 4 in the afternoon, about an hour after the sighting. He would quickly disclose this information to friends and airport personnel, but only in discreet talks. He would go on to present his account to the waiting journalists on June 25th, and Arnold recalled that he had been misquoted, and that this had led to the name Flying Saucer. He said that they flew like you would throw a saucer across the ocean. The majority of newspapers misinterpreted and misquoted it. National newspapers picked up the story quickly, and then by foreign newswires, which had a considerable impact, even though they were undoubtedly not as sophisticated as the modern media's round-the-clock operations. So much so that a mixture of curiosity and derision would soon put pressure on Arnold. A few days later, he would declare that he hadn't experienced any moments of calm since he told the story. Nevertheless, a lot of people would see Arnold as a very reliable witness, and while some would certainly make fun of him, others would appreciate how reliable his reports were. He wouldn't sensationalize them, and his reputation was further enhanced by the fact that he was an accomplished pilot. The episode would continue to pique media curiosity. Arnold, who was at the time operating in somewhat of a novel and distinctive area, would ostensibly utilize the interviews to discuss his theories and exchange ideas about what he had really seen. Fascinatingly, he might have been among the first to suggest that UFO sightings were possibly the result of a government cover-up. He would stick to his conviction that it would be inappropriate for authorities to shoot one of them. Additionally, he would say that they were heading towards a reachable location. Moreover, human pilots could not have survived the pressure given the way the vehicle maneuvered. In a 1949 interview with the Saturday Evening Post, he would assert that the materials used in the craft were not off this earth. It may be noteworthy that Arnold was so certain that the craft he had observed could have been extraterrestrial in origin. Recall that this was all before the famous incident in New Mexico, and it was undoubtedly before the 1950s saw the popularization of UFOs and flying saucers. In other words, there's no solid evidence to suggest that he was influenced by the prevailing social mores of the period. Although Arnold seemed to be the only person who saw the events he recounted, it would later be discovered that another witness saw the occurrence on June 24th while standing atop Mount Adams. Fred Johnson, a prospector, would report his findings to Army Air Force intelligence. This, incidentally, constitutes the first official UFO report to US authorities, even with the Arnold encounter. He would later assert that, at approximately 3 in the afternoon on the same day as the Arnold sighting, he had seen 6 things via a telescope. His description of the items would nearly correspond with Arnold's. He would say they were oval with a sharp point at the ends, but he would also say they were round. He would also observe how his compass changed as the items passed overhead. After then, more witnesses would surface. Around 2:30 in the afternoon on the same occasion, Bernier of Richland would assert that he saw 3 strange objects in the skies over Mount Adams. Richland would claim they were traveling at breakneck speed. He was positive that the items he saw were the exact ones that Arnold had seen. More witnesses would surface. Around 3 in the afternoon, Sidney Gallagher, for instance, would claim to have seen 9 bright discs. A Washington State Forest Service employee, who wishes to remain unidentified, would describe multiple odd flashes close to Mount Rainier at the same time. A further Seattle resident would later claim to have seen a 9-item weird object chain. Strange object sightings would, in fact, continue virtually every day, and the majority of them, though not all, would originate from the western region of the United States. They would also originate from a wide range of American society's demographics, from those living nearby who saw unusual items in the garden, or to seasoned commercial aircraft pilots. Hundreds of people reported seeing things. Nevertheless, the reporting was not up to the level that it would become because this was probably the first such UFO wave. While many at the time believed that these sightings were unmistakable proof of extraterrestrial visits, others conjectured that they were actually military tests, specifically related to the flying wing. The US military would, however, maintain that at the time of the sightings, they had no aircraft in the area, experimental or otherwise. Disc-shaped UFOs are typically described as being circular or oval in shape, often with a domed top and flat bottom. Witnesses frequently report that these objects exhibit highly advanced flight capabilities, including rapid acceleration, sharp turns, and the ability to hover silently. These characteristics distinguish them from conventional aircraft and contribute to their mysterious and intriguing nature. Numerous significant sightings of disc-shaped UFOs have been documented over the years, each contributing to the ongoing fascination with these objects. As of right now, disc-shaped UFOs are among the most commonly reported and recognizable forms of unidentified flying objects. Their distinctive shape and advanced flight capabilities have intrigued and baffled witnesses for decades. While explanations range from advanced human technology to natural phenomena and extraterrestrial visitors, as technology advances and more sightings are documented, we may move closer to uncovering the truth behind these mysterious objects. Until then, the disc-shaped UFO remains a powerful symbol of the unknown and a testament to humanity's enduring curiosity and imagination. In the quiet waters of Oklahoma's lakes, an eerie legend persists, whispered among locals and intrepid adventurers alike. The tale of the Oklahoma octopus, a giant cephalopod said to inhabit the lakes of this landlocked state, has intrigued and frightened swimmers and divers for years. While mainstream science questions the existence of such a creature, numerous encounters have been reported, contributing to the mysterious lore surrounding this alleged freshwater monster. This octopus-like creature is said to be 6 to 15 feet in length, with skin that is reddish-brown and strong tentacles that had the power to take unsuspecting swimmers. Though its exact origins are unknown, some accounts link the legend to Native American folklore about an odd aquatic creature that has a hunger for human flesh. Some claim that the large number of drownings and disappearances that have happened in the Oklahoma lakes throughout the years served as inspiration. The legend of the Oklahoma octopus is relatively recent, gaining traction in the early 2000s. Despite Oklahoma being a landlocked state, where traditional marine octopuses cannot survive due to the lack of salt water, the legend persists. Some suggest that the creature could be an undiscovered species of freshwater cephalopod, or even an ancient, prehistorically adapted octopus that somehow survived and evolved in these freshwater environments. One of the earliest and most widely cited encounters occurred in the summer of 2003. A group of teenagers swimming in Lake Thunderbird reported seeing a large, shadowy figure beneath the surface. Initially, they thought it was a log or debris, but panic ensued when the object moved against the current. One swimmer, Karen Thompson, described feeling something brush against her leg, followed by a sharp, stinging sensation. She emerged from the water with a series of suction-like marks on her calf, resembling octopus tentacle marks. In 2008, a team of divers conducting a recreational dive in Lake Tenkiller reported a chilling encounter with a massive creature. Lead diver, Mark Henson, recounted how visibility was low due to the murky water when he noticed an unusually large and dark shape moving swiftly near the lakebed. Initially thinking it was a large catfish or gar, Henson swam closer, only to be confronted by what he described as a gigantic, tentacled creature. The divers quickly ascended, shaken but unharmed. Henson's account was corroborated by his fellow divers, adding credibility to the sighting. In 2012, a seasoned fisherman named Earl Mitchell reported an encounter while night fishing on Lake Uloga. Mitchell claimed that as he was reeling in his catch, a tremendous force pulled against his line, nearly dragging him into the water. After a tense struggle, the line snapped, but not before he glimpsed a massive octopus-like arm breaking the surface. His story, combined with unexplained disappearances of pets and livestock near the lake, fueled further speculation about the Oklahoma octopus's existence. In the summer of 2015, a seasoned fisherman named Tom Harris experienced an encounter that would forever alter his understanding of the lakes he had fished in all his life. Tom, an experienced diver and angler, had spent countless hours exploring the depths of Oklahoma's lakes. However, nothing had prepared him for the day he came face to face with what he believes to be the elusive Oklahoma octopus. Tom Harris was a well-known figure in his community, respected for his knowledge of local wildlife and his dedication to preserving the natural beauty of Oklahoma's lakes. With over 20 years of diving and fishing experience, Tom had a deep appreciation for the aquatic ecosystems he frequented. His usual haunt was Lake Tenkiller, one of the largest and deepest lakes in the state, renowned for its clear waters and abundant fish species. On a warm July afternoon, Tom decided to go for a dive to explore a section of Lake Tenkiller that he had not visited in years. Equipped with his diving gear and underwater camera, Tom aimed to document the underwater flora and fauna, hoping to capture some rare footage of the lake's aquatic life. As he descended into the cool, clear water, Tom marveled at the vibrant ecosystem below. Schools of fish darted around him, and the underwater vegetation swayed gently with the currents. After about 30 minutes of exploring, Tom noticed a peculiar, shadowy figure in the distance. Intrigued, he decided to investigate further. As Tom swam closer, the figure began to take shape. To his astonishment, he saw a massive octopus-like creature partially concealed among the rocks and vegetation. The creature was unlike anything he had ever seen in fresh water. Its body was large and bulbous, covered in a reddish-brown skin that blended seamlessly with the surroundings. Long, sinuous tentacles extended outward, some wrapped around rocks while others moved languidly in the water. As he moved towards the creature, it suddenly became aware of his presence. One of its tentacles reached out towards him, and Tom felt a sharp tug on his leg. Panic surged through him as he struggled to free himself. Using his dive knife, he managed to cut through the tentacle's grasp, leaving a suction mark on his calf. The creature retreated into the shadows, and Tom, shaken but unharmed, quickly ascended to the surface. Tom surfaced, gasping for breath and adrenaline coursing through his veins. Tom's encounter reignited the debate over the existence of the Oklahoma octopus. Mainstream scientists remained skeptical, pointing out the biological improbability of a marine octopus living in a freshwater environment. They suggested alternative explanations, such as a misidentified large catfish or a species of freshwater jellyfish that could have given the appearance of an octopus. Researchers into the unknown were more open to Tom's account. They argued that his detailed description and photographic evidence provided valuable data for further investigation. They also noted the similarity of his sighting to other reports of large, octopus-like creatures in Oklahoma's lakes, suggesting that there might indeed be an undiscovered species lurking in the depths. Tom's story has inspired renewed interest in exploring Oklahoma's lakes and studying their ecosystems. The legend of the Oklahoma octopus has become an integral part of local folklore, and Tom's encounter adds a new chapter to this evolving narrative. Stories like his enrich the cultural heritage of the region, providing a sense of mystery and wonder that captivates both residents and visitors. The concept of cryptids, creatures whose existence is suggested but not scientifically proven, has fascinated people for generations. Among these mysterious beings is the Oklahoma octopus, and numerous anecdotal accounts and unexplained disappearances have led some to speculate about the existence of this enigmatic creature. Over the years, numerous disappearances have been reported in Oklahoma's lakes, with some cases remaining unexplained despite thorough investigations. Individuals often vanish without a trace, and the lack of clear evidence has led to various theories, including the possibility of the Oklahoma octopus. Several notable cases have drawn attention to the potential involvement of the Oklahoma octopus. A common pattern in these disappearances is the suddenness with which they occur. Witnesses often describe the divers and swimmers being pulled underwater swiftly, without signs of struggle or distress. This abruptness has led to theories that an aggressive predator, such as the Oklahoma octopus, might be responsible. One of the main reasons for scientific skepticism is the lack of physical evidence. Despite numerous sightings and anecdotal accounts, there have been no verified photographs, biological samples, or remains of the Oklahoma octopus. Without concrete evidence, the scientific community is reluctant to accept the existence of such a creature. As of right now, the possibility that the Oklahoma octopus is behind disappearances in US lakes remains a tantalizing and controversial theory. While mainstream science dismisses the existence of such a creature due to a lack of physical evidence and biological implausibility, the numerous unexplained disappearances and anecdotal accounts keep the legend alive. Whether viewed as a cryptid or a cautionary tale, the Oklahoma octopus captivates the imagination, reflecting humanity's enduring fascination with the unknown and the mysteries that still lie hidden in our world's depths. The legend encourages exploration, conservation, and an appreciation for the rich tapestry of folklore that continues to shape our understanding of the natural world. The accounts of terrifying encounters and the eerie allure of a giant, human-attacking cephalopod living in Oklahoma's lakes contribute to a rich tapestry of local folklore, and the stories have reminded many of the giant squid tales. For centuries, tales of monstrous sea creatures attacking ships have captivated the imaginations of sailors and landlubbers alike. Among these legendary beings is the giant squid, and it holds a prominent place in our history. The legend of the giant squid dates back to ancient times. Norse mythology spoke of the kraken, a colossal sea monster that terrorized sailors off the coast of Norway and Greenland. Described as a creature with immense tentacles capable of enveloping entire ships, the kraken became a symbol of the ocean's unfathomable dangers. During the Age of Exploration, European sailors encountering unfamiliar and treacherous waters often reported sightings of monstrous sea creatures. These tales were likely influenced by real encounters with large marine animals, such as whales and squids, seen through the lens of fear and superstition. Giant squids can grow up to 13 meters, or 43 feet for females, and 10 meters, or 33 feet for males, making them one of the largest invertebrates on Earth. They possess 8 arms and 2 longer feeding tentacles, equipped with suckers lined with sharp teeth, which they use to capture prey. Their beaks are powerful enough to slice through flesh, and their eyes, the largest in the animal kingdom, allow them to see in the deep ocean's dim light. Giant squids inhabit deep oceanic waters, typically at depths between 300 and 1,000 meters. They are elusive and rarely seen alive, which has made studying them challenging. Most of what we know comes from dead specimens and rare deep-sea footage. A retired Antarctic pilot by the name of John Ingram was presented with an irresistible opportunity. The Antarctic Research Institute invited him back for a special reconnaissance mission over the icy expanse of Antarctica. Intrigued and eager to fly again, he accepted the offer. On a frigid morning, he boarded his old companion, a modified Lockheed C-130 Hercules. The mission was straightforward, to map out some remote regions of Antarctica that satellites had trouble covering. With the seasoned expertise of decades, he piloted the aircraft over the vast, shimmering white landscape. After hours of monotonous icy scenery, a blip on the radar broke the tranquility. It was a mountain, a towering spire of ice and rock, standing solitary amidst the endless white. At its summit was an oddity that puzzled the pilot, a large, perfect circle that radar identified as an opening. He circled around in order to get a better look, his curiosity piqued. The mouth of the cavity was colossal, big enough to fit a football stadium. The pilot estimated the opening was easily over 300 feet in length, big enough to fit a plane inside. Unable to resist the mystery, he decided to descend for a closer look. He expertly maneuvered the aircraft into a daring low-altitude hover, just above the mouth of the mountain. Peering out of the cockpit, he saw the hole wasn't merely an opening. It was an entrance to an expansive cavern, disappearing into the heart of the mountain, shrouded in darkness. Realizing the potential significance of the find, he marked the location on his GPS and took high-resolution photographs. As much as he yearned to explore further, he knew he was not equipped for such an expedition. He ascended back into the sky, his mind racing with possibilities about what could be hidden within the cavern. Upon his return, he presented his findings to the Antarctic Research Institute. The photographs and coordinates sparked an immediate buzz among the researchers. The possibility of an unexplored cavern of such size in Antarctica was an enticing prospect. However, the pilot said that he was told that the discovery wasn't of interest and that an exploration team wouldn't be sent to the location. As the news of the discovery spread, it captivated the team's imagination. Those who knew the pilot said that they eagerly awaited updates on the mysterious hole atop the Antarctic mountain. However, he was told that the discovery wasn't of interest and that no further flights would be made to the mountain. The pilot ended by saying that he still wonders what was inside the cavern that led directly into the mountain. Oddly enough, this isn't the first time that something strange has been found in Antarctica. In the bitter heart of Antarctica, hidden amidst the icy wilderness, is a research station named Aurora Base. It is a scientific outpost tasked with studying the desolate landscape and the hidden secrets of this cold frontier. According to a social media post, one winter, the Aurora team embarked on a new expedition, a journey into the subglacial lakes, which exist under kilometers of ice. Armed with state-of-the-art technology, the team lowered a specialized submersible probe through a borehole in the ice to explore the unseen depths of Lake Vostok. As the probe descended through the ice, its cameras relayed images to the team above. The first signs of life were simple, single-celled organisms. But as Poseidon plunged deeper, it started to transmit pictures of creatures much more complex and bizarre. Creatures that defied the known boundaries of life in such extreme conditions. One such creature was a translucent, bioluminescent entity, nearly 2 meters long, undulating gracefully in the frigid darkness. Its otherworldly glow illuminated its surroundings, and the creature seemed to be covered in a constellation of glowing spots. Biologist Dr. Everson, staring at the live feed in awe, said that it's like a living starfield. In the following days, the underwater probe captured images of other unusual life forms. There were organisms with metallic exoskeletons, creatures resembling prehistoric trilobites but much larger, and swarms of neon-colored microorganisms that glowed beautifully under the probe's lights. Each new discovery was a revelation, a testament to life's tenacity and adaptability in Earth's harshest environment. Word of these astonishing discoveries spread across the base. Soon, every eye was glued to the live feed. Everyone held their breath each time the underwater probe descended, eager to see what strange creature it would uncover next. One evening, it encountered something that brought every heart at the base to a standstill. An enormous shadow loomed over the submersible. As it came into focus, a gigantic creature, unlike anything ever seen before, appeared on the screen. It was a massive creature, easily the length of a whale, but unlike any known marine animal. It had multiple bioluminescent appendages and an intricate pattern of glowing lines along its body, casting an ethereal light in the dark abyss. Stunned by the sight of this gargantuan lifeform, the Aurora team realized they had discovered an ecosystem entirely unknown to science, hidden beneath the ice. It was a humbling experience, reminding them of how much more there was to learn about our planet. In the following months, news of the monsters of Lake Vostok reached every corner of the globe. It sparked a renewed interest in Antarctic exploration and the study of extreme environments. To the scientists at Aurora Base, these strange creatures were a beautiful reminder of nature's infinite ability to surprise and astonish us. The Antarctic ice, once thought to be lifeless, now held a world teeming with strange and remarkable life, shattering our understanding of where life can exist and thrive on Earth. A man named Luis Fr. reportedly captured a video showing a large humanoid figure walking on a mountain in Mexico back in 2003. While this footage has been circulating for some time, it has recently gained renewed attention as discussions about large humanoids have resurfaced online. It is worth noting, however, that sightings of colossal beings on mountains have been documented before through various means, and this particular encounter adds to the collection of alleged evidence depicting giants in such environments. When the video footage was shared, individuals began expressing their opinions on its content. Many pointed out that there is a noticeable presence at the mountain's summit, which, at certain points in the video, resembles a human figure. Interestingly, This shape remains relatively stationary throughout the duration of the footage, leading some to suggest that the object is actually a balloon. Additionally, local residents have witnessed peculiar creatures throughout the area, which has further fueled speculations. Some residents have reported observing large, hairy humanoids that bear a striking resemblance to the figure in the video. Numerous individuals residing in close proximity to the area have come forward, sharing their encounters and describing the creature as towering over 8 feet in height and possessing incredible speed and agility. There is a popular tale circulating among knowledgeable hikers in the area, suggesting that they have come across these beings near the mountains. This has sparked speculation that there might be a hidden civilization residing in close proximity to these regions. Several hikers have reported experiencing hallucinations while dehydrated or feeling fearful for their lives during mountain treks. These incidents have resulted in them witnessing the presence of a sizable creature roaming the area. One legend goes that in the heart of Spain, where the Sierra Nevada mountains cast long shadows over the sun-drenched valleys below, an age-old tale continues to echo through the villages. This tale tells of the giants who live within the mountain caverns, staying clear of the human eye, but very much a part of the region's lore. Centuries ago, these mountains were uncharted territories, inspiring awe and fear among those who dared to venture into their rugged slopes. Among these brave souls were the ancestors of the villagers, who had noticed strange phenomena in the mountains. The inexplicable rumbling beneath their feet, the peculiarly shaped entities that seemed to move in the corner of their eye, and the echo of a deep, resonating hum filling the valleys at dawn and dusk. One chilly autumn evening, a shepherd named Thomas ventured deep into the mountains, drawn by the mysterious humming sound. As he moved closer, he felt the ground tremble beneath his feet. Suddenly, a massive boulder moved aside, and from the darkness emerged a colossal figure. Filled with fear and fascination, Thomas watched as the figure, a giant, stretched out its limbs and walked off into the mountains, causing the ground to shake with each footstep. Word spread throughout the villages about Thomas's encounter, sparking a sense of awe and trepidation among the inhabitants. As time passed, these stories morphed into legends, shaping the villagers' respect and reverence for the mountains. They believed that these giants were the guardians of the Sierra Nevada, protectors of the mountain's natural beauty and resources. Over generations, the inhabitants stopped venturing into the mountains. During the harvest season, they would leave portions of their crops near the mountain caves as offerings. On New Year's Eve, they would light bonfires, a symbolic gesture representing the giants' warmth and protection over the past year. In time, these tales of the Spanish giants faded into myth, regarded by outsiders as mere folklore. Yet, for the inhabitants of the Sierra Nevada villages, the giants were very much a reality. The mountains were their home, and these gentle behemoths were their neighbors, a constant presence that shaped their lives and culture. The villagers lived in harmony with these mythical beings, their existence intertwined with the rhythms of nature and the cycles of the seasons. The mountains echoed with their stories, resonating with the deep hum of the giants, a reminder of the mystical bond between humanity and the natural world. In the end, whether these giants truly exist remains a mystery. What is certain, however, is that their legend has etched an indelible mark on the cultural fabric of the Sierra Nevada region. In the hearts of the villagers, these gentle behemoths remain as the guardians of the mountains, a testament to their reverence for the power and mystery of nature. Thus, the tale of the Spanish mountain giants continues to echo through the Sierra Nevada, a tale of mystery, respect, and coexistence that binds the people to their awe-inspiring landscape. And perhaps, in the tranquil hours of dawn and dusk, if one listens closely, they might still hear the deep, resonating hum of the giants, a melody of an ancient time, a song of the mountains. With reports of these humanoids surfacing from all around the world, it's no surprise to amateur researchers that the mountains of our world may be home to giant ape-like creatures. Those who have allegedly encountered these creatures have said that they dwell within the distant mountainsides and wilderness, uninhabited by humans. One such creature that closely resembles the humanoid that was captured by Luis Fr. is known as the Almas, and these Mongolian hominids were believed to have inhabited the mountains across Central Asia, as well as the Altai Mountains of western Mongolia, of which the majority of ancient reports were made. The oldest known verifiable record made of the Almas was written by a man known as Hans Schiltberger, a prisoner of the Mongol Khan that had been sent to Mongolia and wrote about his observations of the surrounding landscape and people back during the year 1420. In his journal, he wrote the following excerpt surrounding the Almas creatures. On the same mountain, there are savages, who are not like other people. They are covered all over the body with hair, except the hands and face, and run about like other wild beasts in the mountain, and also eat leaves and grass and anything that they can find." End quote. There have been endless debates, both archaeological and scientific, surrounding the existence of these creatures, as more and more people have come forward with their stories. Something interesting has just been captured by a local resident in Oregon. The individual who captured the object called 911 and said that they could see a large fireball in the sky, noting that they were worried that it might have been a plane that was having some difficulty. The images were then posted to social media, with various people putting forward their own theories for what it could have been. The 911 call revealed that the individual had taken pictures of the event, with Polk County Sheriff's Office soon arriving on the scene and taking their own photographs. Once officials in Oregon arrived on the scene, they reported that they started looking for a crash site. However, as the investigation continued, it's reported that the sheriff's office, along with locals in the area who turned up to help, couldn't find any evidence that something had crashed. Oddly enough, when investigators started to conduct further research, they reported that no plane was reported missing, but did note that there was a recent meteor shower in the area. The Polk County Sheriff's Office said the following: "That's what it was more likely attributed to, or what was seen. Although we're not 100% sure." End quote. The mysterious object was first seen at around 4:50 in the afternoon, but the Sheriff's Office said that their helicopter searches turned up nothing. The size of a meteor that NASA or any other space agency can detect depends on a variety of factors, such as the sensitivity of their detection instruments, the distance between the meteor and the Earth, and the speed and trajectory of the meteor. NASA has a program called the Near-Earth Object Observations Program, which is designed to detect, track, and characterize asteroids and comets that could potentially pose a threat to Earth. The program uses a combination of ground-based telescopes and space-based instruments to search for these objects. Generally, NASA and other space agencies can detect meteoroids as small as a few millimeters in size using ground-based telescopes, but they typically focus on detecting larger objects that could potentially pose a threat to Earth, such as those larger than 140 meters or 459 feet in diameter. However, it's worth noting that not all meteors are detected before they enter Earth's atmosphere. Small meteoroids can enter the atmosphere undetected and produce visible meteor trails, also known as shooting stars. These are usually harmless and pose no threat to Earth. Authorities further reported that after several investigations had taken place throughout the area, utilizing helicopters and people on the ground, there was no sign of the fireball, and also no impact site that would help them positively identify what the object was. The Sheriff's Office posted on its Facebook page and reached out to the public, saying that they did not know the exact location of where this happened. What's strange is that this isn't the first time that one of these strange fireballs has been witnessed in the sky. Oddly enough, other residents have said that while seeing these strange objects, they've also heard mysterious booms and questioned whether jets had been scrambled to investigate whatever these objects are. As many have reported, these strange fireballs have been seen above various countries, and in most of these cases, the strange objects have prompted police to investigate the sighting further. Many have said the same thing, suggesting that the fireball is an aeroplane that was in trouble, but some have disputed this, saying that although planes do fly over most of these regions, a lot of the time one didn't fly over at the specific time that the object was seen. As of right now, people are still speculating as to what these objects are and where they're coming from. The vast, icy landscapes of Antarctica are home to some of the world's most unique and elusive wildlife. However, certain accounts stretch the boundaries of conventional biology, delving into the realm of the unknown and proving that creatures might exist that are not yet confirmed by science. Among these unverified creatures is the ningen, a humanoid entity purported to lurk in the Antarctic waters. A military personnel posted about their mysterious encounter with a creature while working in Antarctica. Due to not wanting to give out any personal information, we'll call him Sergeant Adams. Deployed to a remote research facility in Antarctica, Adams was part of a small team maintaining logistical operations. One night, Adams was conducting a routine perimeter check when he spotted a massive, vaguely human-like silhouette in the water. With pale, luminous skin, the creature appeared humanoid, but its size far exceeded any humans. This creature fits the description of the ningen, a mysterious creature reputedly observed by Japanese whaling crews. Ningen, Japanese for human, are said to have a human-like face, a long mermaid-like tail, and measure up to 20 to 30 meters long. Their color is uniformly pale, blending with the ice, making them incredibly difficult to spot. Adams, trained to keep a level head in high-stress situations, quickly reported the sighting, noting the creature's approximate size, shape, and location. His superiors were skeptical, suggesting he might have seen a known marine animal, like a whale or a large seal, distorted by the tricky Antarctic light conditions. The notion of a ningen existing is challenging for several reasons. The extreme conditions of Antarctica also make it unlikely that a large, previously unknown mammal could remain undetected. Those who've investigated the unknown have argued that the vastness and inhospitable nature of Antarctica, combined with the limited number of observers, could allow such a creature to remain hidden. For them, Adams's account adds to a growing body of anecdotal evidence supporting the ningen's existence. To the wider public, the story of Adams and the ningen serves a symbolic function. It underscores our incomplete knowledge of the natural world, particularly in extreme environments like Antarctica. As much as science has uncovered about our planet, there are still frontiers that hold mysteries and perhaps new species to discover. Furthermore, Adams's encounter illustrates the human capacity for wonder and the desire for discovery. Adams reported that he was told not to share his encounter and that what he saw was most likely a marine animal. The fascinating field of cryptozoology, dedicated to the study of creatures whose existence is not confirmed by mainstream science, hosts a plethora of intriguing tales and mysteries. One such cryptid that has captured the imagination of many is the ningen. Originating from Japanese folklore, the ningen is said to be an enormous humanoid sea creature reportedly spotted in the icy waters of the Antarctic. First gaining widespread attention in the 1990s, accounts of the ningen describe it as a marine entity, reaching up to 20 to 30 meters in length. Its most distinctive feature is its uncannily human-like shape. With a face, arms, and even fingers on its supposed hands, albeit devoid of any distinct facial features aside from eyes and mouth. The first reported sightings of the ningen come from alleged testimonies of crew members of government-operated whale research ships. These accounts, which often describe encounters that occur at night, found their way onto internet forums, soon catching the attention enthusiasts who research the unknown. These online discussions, coupled with supposed photographic evidence, further fueled speculation and interest in the ningen. The ningen's cultural significance is notable. Its humanoid form set in an inhospitable environment challenges our perception of life and evolution. The unsettling combination of the familiar and the strange evokes a sense of the uncanny, a key element in many horror and science fiction narratives. The ningen thus resonates with universal fears and fascinations concerning the unknown, the humanoid, and the monstrous. Skeptics of the creature point out the lack of solid evidence supporting the creature's existence. Critics suggest that alleged sightings may be misinterpretations of known sea animals, such as the beluga whale or giant squids, particularly under difficult viewing conditions in the Antarctic waters. The sometimes blurry and low-resolution photos purportedly showing the ningen are considered unreliable and easily manipulable. The thought of a lost civilization, obscured beneath layers of Antarctic ice, is an enticing notion that has captivated both historians and enthusiasts alike. Modern understanding of human evolution and migration patterns suggests that humans have not inhabited Antarctica in any large-scale, organized manner. The extreme climatic conditions coupled with its geographical isolation, make it highly unlikely that humans could have established a thriving civilization there. However, some speculative theories propose that Antarctica might not have always been the inhospitable, ice-covered wilderness it is today. These theories often hinge on the controversial concept of Earth crustal displacement, a geological hypothesis put forward by Charles Hapgood in the 1950s. According to this idea, the Earth's crust could shift over the molten layers below, repositioning continents towards or away from the poles. Hapgood suggested that Antarctica might have been located in a more temperate zone several thousands of years ago, potentially allowing for a civilization to thrive. Those interested in this topic often tie this idea with the Piri Reis map, a pre-modern world map showing a strangely detailed depiction of the northern part of Antarctica, seemingly ice-free. Advocates for a lost Antarctic civilization often point to this map as proof of advanced geographical knowledge potentially derived from a now-vanished civilization. However, the scientific consensus does not support these claims. The geological evidence indicates that Antarctica has been covered in ice for millions of years, much longer than Homo sapiens have existed. Nevertheless, the possibility of a lost civilization in Antarctica has fueled numerous works of fiction. These narratives often involve ancient advanced societies buried under the ice, waiting to be discovered by intrepid explorers or unsuspecting scientists. They tap into our collective fascination with the unknown and the allure of ancient hidden knowledge. What if, against all odds, a lost civilization were discovered under the Antarctic ice? Such a discovery would revolutionize our understanding of human history, challenging many established theories about human evolution, migration, and technological development. It would also raise numerous ethical and logistical questions about how to study and preserve such a civilization in such an extreme and sensitive environment. While scientists have said that the existence of a lost human civilization buried in Antarctica remains hypothetical, the concept provides a fascinating paradox. It highlights the contrast between our thirst for discovery and our scientific understanding. Antarctica, Earth's southernmost continent, presents an icy, remote, and largely untouched wilderness. Comprising about 14 million square kilometers, it is a vast region, 98% of which is covered by ice.